Kansas and North Carolina on Monday evening. I'm John Fanta. He's Terrence Oglesby. He's Randolph Childress. He is Rob Doster. And we've got a loaded show for you over the next 2 hours. We're live from Gordon Biersch in New Orleans, 200 Poydras Street. Come see us if you're in the NOLA area. We're right across from Harrah's. We are a block away from the Hilton. We've got Bruce Pearl coming up today, the head coach of Auburn. We've got Stanford Steve, bald guy who reads bad beats to Scott Van Pelt, makes you laugh every Monday night. We've got him coming on as well.
We didn't have enough bald guys on the show. So
yeah, I know. We need to capitalize. More bald guys. Bald is beautiful. Bald is beautiful.
All right, let's get to it, bald guys. A night removed here from our Final Four Saturday. Terrence Oglesby, what's the first thing that pops in your brain about what we saw last night?
We ended up with 20 lead changes or something. I mean, one of the best games in college basketball history. This will go down as one of the best games ever. Period, point blank, period. There was a time in the second half I was sitting beside the great Rob Doster, of course, and it was like we're looking at 71,500 people in the building. It's completely sold out, and not a person is sitting. I mean, it was that level of an environment. What an experience to be a part of. And Caleb Love went nuts. I mean, I know we're not going to jump into the game right away, but some of these shots that both these teams hit, it was high-level basketball by really talented kids. Or young men, rather. I can't say kids, but young men, rather. Terrific game.
That's the thing that I keep coming back to. The Caleb Love performance. Armando Bacot spraining his ankle, hobbling off, looking like he's about to go run up to the tunnel, being like, you know what? I don't have enough time to do it. Coming back in the game, and you can see there's a video going around as he checks back in. You just see him start walking in. He's not walking very well, and he just goes, fuck it, let's go.
Yeah.
And gets on the court and starts playing. And
Didn't tape it up or anything.
It's just like, I got to get it done. I mean, if you don't, he had 5 minutes to tough it out, and if you don't win those 5 minutes, then you're not playing again. So that's what stuck with me. The Caleb Love performance, the shot that he hit, that's what stuck with me. And I'll tell you this, RC. People have been critical, T.O.'s been critical of Coach K and what he's done this year. You made some points about that. And I don't know how great of a job he did last night. I think there are things that he probably could have done better. He probably could have looked at and said, you know, I wish maybe I didn't have Mark Williams in the game on that final possession when you're playing those ball screen coverages. Maybe I wish I had my best perimeter defender in A.J. Griffin on the floor. That's what stood out to me, is that North Carolina came out, made all of those big plays, and had all of those tough moments, and Coach K's guys didn't.
I'm all over the place with so much emotion and knowing so many people involved in both sides and being part of that. Like, part of me is, wow. It's as much as a player and a coach I despised competing against those guys in a respectful way. I mean, these are two of the greatest programs, and so for me, it's you know, I'm honored to have competed against them. I'm honored to have coached against Coach K. I love, you know, I've known Hubert for over 30 years. And so it was, I literally was just happy as a fan to watch the game. Like, we saw something that people will be talking about. For a second there, I felt like I was part of the rivalry. You know, we interview all those guys for a second. You felt like, and I wasn't cheering. I was just in awe of people are going to be talking about this game for college basketball to kind of open back up and have this semifinals in New Orleans, have this type of game was just outstanding. But to your point about that call, I would imagine this morning not having timeouts. And it's personal decisions, and that's what makes it great. Some go your way, some don't. Mark Williams is the ACC Defensive Player of the Year. But I thought if Armando Bacot was on the floor, then it's a no-brainer.
Because that's the thing. He fouled out with about a minute left.
And it was literally, and then that possession, when you watch the lineup that they had on the floor, when he missed the free throw, they couldn't call a timeout to get him out. And then when he goes down, they're communicating and talking where to put him and who to place him on. And he had been in drop coverage because that's what he does. And credit to Caleb Love is the last thing you want to do is be in drop coverage against Caleb Love with a three on the line. And
you can't do it.
He stepped up. Mark made a hard rush to get there, but you know, Caleb Love had it going, and the rest is history.
The one thing that I will give Hubert all the credit in the world for is he made it so simple in the final 15 minutes. You know what he did, T.O.? He just said, I have Caleb Love, I have R.J. Davis. We're going to spread you out. and we're going to run ball screens. And I swear every possession was exactly that. He's just like, you two go in for us.
Yep.
The game is in your hands.
And all the guys move so well without the ball, too. I mean, they were able to manufacture space that way. Guys, I'm going to be honest with you. I'm glad that RC last night watched the game so critically because I was so lost in the game that I wasn't watching it critically. And that was a hole on my part because, like, I was so fascinated with the back and forth and all that stuff. But to go back to what we were talking about, I went back and watched the last 5 minutes. Some of these plays that these guys were making, and was it drop coverage or was it a lazy switch by Mark Williams? I think it could have been one of the two because whenever they switch, he's got to come up and jam. Because against Caleb Love, it's almost like at that point in the game, you got to get him and make him get down there and make somebody else beat you because he was feeling it. He was unbelievable.
The reason I say it, but if you watch where he started, he was definitely late and deep in the paint. And it was like, oh crap, and he's coming out to contest, and his length, he covers so much length.
Right.
And that would be my question. And I say just because of the lineup that was on the floor. I mean, we can sit here and argue this until the sun comes up, and there'll be a lot of conversation about it. But you would like to think that would have been a lot easier switch if A.J. Griffin was there, and you just say, hey, I'd rather take my chances with him out there than having a big.
He should have been on there offensively. He should have been on the floor before Mark Williams got fouled.
But to their credit, he was the one guy of everybody on the floor. He the one that struggled for Duke. So if you're thinking about a game that's back and forth offensively, that was not the A.J. Griffin that we had come to see.
Yeah.
Right.
That was the guy that we had thought that was injured, and we questioned it. Since he's been back, he's been healthy. He's been phenomenal. He, as much as the emergence of Jeremy Roach, is the reason that they're here.
Absolutely.
And he struggled mightily in that game, so it wasn't for offense. You needed to have him in there because he and Leaky Black guarded each other. And when there was a big in there, I thought it was a reason for. And I believe they had timeouts, I wondered if they could. But again, it goes back to, we talked about the underlying thing. They were 12 of 20 from the free throw line.
Right.
Yeah, that's a big point.
And he missed those free throws, so you couldn't sub. You didn't need a timeout if he makes the free throw. You could send somebody in, but nobody was even at the scorer's table to do it.
Do you think the pressure of the moment got to them?
No.
No,
I
think that's a silly take.
No, the free throws at the end. Mark Williams.
No.
It was the ebbs and flows of the game.
Never,
I don't think so.
In this rivalry, you can't. I wouldn't put that past it, though. I mean, you never know. There's a difference in games. There's rivalry games with anybody. We don't know how anybody felt. But 12 and 20 in this game against guys that are next level guys, it matters. And if I'm not mistaken, he missed both free throws.
Yeah,
He did.
Williams
He
missed
missed
two, and Trevor
If he
Keels
missed
missed
one.
one.
So the reason the A.J. Griffin point is valid is because A.J. Griffin wasn't even at the scorer's table. It wasn't as if he was in the scorer's table trying to get in. Mm-hmm. You know,
Right.
so because he missed it, so it wouldn't have mattered. He
Right.
was on the bench. And I think there was mix-up on, they didn't bother him because, and this is where youth comes in. And you know this, T.O., in the game, you'll tell your veteran, everyone knows this, you tell the guy, you leave the shooter alone, you tell the other guys the matchup. Mm-hmm. And as they run back, I don't know exactly where they were going. They definitely couldn't put him on Brady Manick because you were making the assumption that Brady Manick was the 5 and you were going to make him run in the ball screen.
Uh-huh.
And so you put him on Leaky Black thinking that they're going to face Leaky Black off.
Yeah.
And it's right in front of Carolina's bench. So I would imagine Hubert, if you were to ask him, is probably saying, who's Mark Williams guarding? Go set the ball screen.
Right.
How do you explain Caleb Love going scoreless in the first 15 minutes of the game and proceeding to score 28 points in 24 minutes?
Hey, you just need to see one go in. You see one go in and it feels good coming off your hand, you can go nuts. But I think the quality of the shot that he was able to get for himself off those ball screens, if I remember correctly, in that first half, there were a lot of tough step backs, shooting over high contest. He was able to create more quality looks in that second half. And in the last, 4 minutes? What would you say, John? The last 4 minutes of the first?
At the 4:29 mark of the first half, he scored his first bucket. And this is during a time where R.J. Davis had 2 fouls and was on the bench.
He got a rhythm by having the ball in his hands. And we've talked about North Carolina being better because R.J. got it. And then Caleb Love, he gets the ball, he dribbles the air out of it a little bit, kind of gets comfortable with his surroundings, knocks down a couple, then things can snowball, right? Some of the shots he hit. After you hit one and you get a solid look, Randolph, you know this, big-time scorer, 40, 40, 40, and 40 and 40 guy.
See, here's the thing with you, though.
We needed.
But you would just keep shooting. You felt like whether it went in or didn't go in.
Oh, yeah.
You have to.
Well, that's what Caleb Love did, and look what happened.
You know what?
Drew,
You
0 for
score.
5.
That's how you do it. Ask
Yeah.
Doster. Vassar College is finest. Like he hits too. He's ready. Like you hit a few shots, it can snowball quickly because I don't know how to explain it, but like once that ball starts feeling good in your hands, it's
confident.
escalates.
That
It's
is confidence.
confident. Yeah.
Life-
And
it's
he
not
has
just
a
basketball.
coach that
Life
allows him
is
to
confidence.
do it. Yep.
Life is confident. Everything you do in life, if you're not doing it confidently, you're not going to succeed. If you're delivering your soliloquies on here, right, and you're not doing it confidently.
You on Bourbon Street Friday
Me
night,
on Bourbon
the
Street
confidence
Friday
level
night,
was
I
through the roof.
Confident.
Unbelievably confident.
I was confident that the shots that you bought me were going to ruin my night.
It was a happy birthday
You know
moment.
what he does, though? The biggest thing I can say about it, and it's scary,
Mm-hmm.
is that Caleb Love is a bad shot maker. He's a difficult shot. No,
You're
he
right,
is.
you're right.
He takes shots that other coaches will look at and say that's a bad shot, and he makes it. And I'm not saying that to slight him. That's scary,
Right.
because he's the most explosive guy. Even in the championship game, he's the most explosive guy on the floor because he can take shots that you wouldn't want your guys taking. And he can make them. And when he does, you're going to be like, man, holy crap, there's nothing we can do with this guy.
Yeah.
And that's a big part of what this team's about. And then the other thing is that it comes from Hubert.
Mm-hmm.
Hubert is encouraging him to take those shots. And when your coach backs you and your teammates know they need you to take those shots, it's a game changer.
All right, I want to hear you guys in the chat, see what you guys have to say. Vote right now in the chat. We are asking you this. If you had to bet on either one of these players to show out tomorrow night, who is it going to be? Is it going to be R.J. Davis or Ochai Agbaji? You get to back one of them.
I love both of those guys. I think another poll that we could have: who shows up, Remy Martin or Caleb Love? Because those are the two most volatile.
That's another one. What is it? Producer Dagan Hughes is with us. Gordon Biersch, by the way.
We
Okay.
have no mic for Dagan.
We'll get
He's
it.
asking us one question from the chat.
Stop calling him Dagan. That's not his name.
Nuts
That's his name.
hanging
Address
Dagan.
that man by how his mother calls him. Nuts hanging Dagan.
Down to Natty on the line. R.J. Davis or Remy Martin.
I'm taking
T.O.
R.J. Davis.
R.J. Davis.
R.J. Davis.
Let me
Just
ask
from
you
a
this:
decision-making, playmaking.
Would you take R.J. Davis over Caleb Love in that moment? I would not. I would not. Not with the way that Caleb Love has been playing of late.
I'm with.
I would.
Not with the way that Caleb Love has been playing of
I'm
late.
perfectly all right with R.J. Davis. I think R.J. Davis is playing with a pace and a confidence that he's making the right play. I think Caleb Love, you put the ball in his hand if it's under 6, under 5, and you need the shot. But if I want somebody to make the right read, I want the ball in R.J. Davis.
Why for you? Why'd you say that?
I'm going Caleb Love.
That dude, his nuts are hanging, Dagan. His nuts are
Trying
hanging.
to steal your name, man.
His nuts. No, but seriously, like
Nuts
But the fact
hanging
we can
Caleb.
have this debate is why North Carolina's in the
Yes.
national championship game.
Yes.
They have two guys who could do it.
We say this, all right, there's two halves. We
Yeah.
said this even watching the game. Caleb Love wasn't there the first half, and he showed up the second half.
you know what it was, and I wanted to make this point. He was able to get around those ball screens and get to little 8-foot pull-ups. He stopped settling. He got to like his little float game. He got to the rim and was able to finish around people. He had one layup when I think it was Paolo trying to take a charge on him, and he went around him. And T.O. was like, "That's ballet right there."
That's beautiful.
So
Foul
I think
trouble
it-
played such a big part of that, though. I thought Mark Williams was so passive because he couldn't challenge shots the way he wanted to. So he was even standing there kind of like, I don't want any contact. I can't avoid, say what we want, the foul trouble that they had with their five, with Theo John and Mark Williams played a vital role in UNC just getting downhill, attacking the rim, and getting in the paint. And those guys were just standing there kind of afraid of getting away.
We have a question in the chat. Ask Doster if 5-1 is a good enough lead for the Coys.
Oh yeah. Tottenham had a Caleb Love second half here. Matt Doherty, the best left back in the world. Shout out to Carter Elliott, our producer over there.
All right, let's get to Coach K. Mike Krzyzewski's coaching career comes to an end now that you've had a night to sleep on it. What's
Guys,
your
before we get into this conversation, we have a Coach K bobblehead right here.
We do. We do.
He's
Is it-
gone.
Get him out of here.
Wow.
Get him
Bye,
out of here.
He's gone.
He's gone.
It's over.
Duh.
Yeah,
It
our
is.
hats are gone, by the way. If you stole our hats, I'm coming for you, man.
My Tom
and my
hat's back.
basketball.
Dunzo Martin.
I want my basketball. That thing costs like $45, man.
All right.
It's an expensive
I'm
basketball.
so upset about that ball.
Mike Krzyzewski, we could talk about the accolades and the greatness. What should the final ride, how should it be viewed?
There's going to be a lot of mixed reviews on that one. I mean, I prefer to look at Coach K's career as, everything that he contributed to the game of basketball, not just his time at Duke, but with USA basketball and things of that nature. I mean, one of the greatest of all time, certainly in the Final Four. Maybe not be the champion, but he's certainly in the Final Four. I think Wooden takes the cake there, but it's like Mike Krzyzewski, Krzyzewski, whatever you want to call him.
Are you
One
drunk?
of the best to ever do. No, I'm not drunk.
What was that?
Krzyzewski. I don't know. You pronounce it.
Krzyzewski.
Coach K.
And for the record, Jeff Goodman will not call him Coach K. When Goodman comes here, we
Calls
should
him
all
Mike.
say Coach K in like 15 seconds and see how mad it makes him. He won't call him. He has to call him Mike. It's a pet peeve.
Really?
He also said that Hubert Davis should have a statue built.
A
We gotta get
bust.
into
A
that.
bust. We'll get into that in a minute.
Yeah,
At least a
Me and
bust.
RC very. I mean,
I think I don't think there's any debate. He's the greatest college coach we've ever had. No disrespect, because he didn't dominate an era. He has been a fixture in think about how much the game has changed
Yes.
over his run over the last 40 years. It's changed, and he's adapted and won national championships before, where when he first started, he was recruiting prep school kids.
Yep.
Then he went into getting whoever. I mean, he was getting kids in there and just going. Now they were right there as a poster child for the one and done. I mean, he has evolved and been dominant in the way he's evolved, and that's why I think he's the greatest. And I'm saying this from a guy who's competed against him and hated and respected and loved him at the same time.
Yeah, you guys have no idea how difficult it is right now
yes.
for Randolph Childress
no idea.
to say this.
No idea.
It's killing him.
But it's there's an admiration, and I do believe in giving people their flowers, and I love tremendous amount of respect. There's no doubt in my mind. You don't have to. He's made you hate him with his success, because
Yes.
that comes with envy. It
That's
comes
why
with
people
jealous.
hate the Yankees. That's why people
It's
hate the
ev-
Cowboys.
Everybody hates him because the level of his success, and I'm a huge Cowboy fan, but we hadn't done anything in 30 years, unlike Duke. And you have to acknowledge his growth and what they've done, and to be here, and like I said, the amount of national championships. He didn't just win 5 in the 90s or 6 in the 90s or whatever. And we're still holding on to that.
This wasn't
regime
one
of
run
group.
of greatness
No,
like John
it's not
Wooden
one.
did.
It's not one.
He
It's-
adapted with the times
he's
and,
adapted.
and changed the way that he played.
Yes,
Like
he's evolved.
the idea that you can go from building programs that had Christian Laettner and Bobby Hurley and Grant Hill, say, for 4 years, to winning a title with Jahlil Okafor and Tyus Jones, to get into a Final Four with a team that had a whole bunch. I think he said this was his youngest team ever. I don't know if that's actually accurate or not, but he said that last night. So the way that he kind of, I agree with you 100%, RC. How do you guys think he handled last night? He handled the moment. He handled the spectacle. He handled.
I have a thought.
Ending his career, because we talked about this last night on the show. There was significantly more emotion coming from the Villanova players and the Villanova staff after they lost, saying goodbye to Colin Gillespie and Jermaine Samuels, than there was coming from Coach K after his final game ever. Go ahead.
So here's the thing. I think that the Villanova players, that's a specific case with Colin Gillespie and Jermaine Samuels,
Yes.
and Caleb Daniels' quote of Colin Gillespie is Villanova University. It was really telling about Colin's impact. That being said, Mike Krzyzewski is at ease with this exit.
Yes.
He was prepared for this exit. It came to the second to last eligible game for you to even get to in your career. He knew that this night was going to happen. So I wasn't surprised by the events that transpired, the ending of the game, the walk through the tunnel, of course, the media coverage that ensued. I go with two schools of thought. The one school of thought is when you say it was never about me, the fact is, whether you like it or not, it is about you.
Yes.
But the latter part of it is where I will say to Mike Krzyzewski, I get it, and I will give you some credit, is these are 18 to 22-year-old kids who poured their heart into a season, who were obviously crying in the locker room, as Mike said, that you want to have tears of joy or tears of sorrow at the end of your season because it means that you poured everything into it. I get why he was not so fixated on himself, knowing that these 18 to 22-year-olds, mostly 18 years old, 19 years old, that these guys had just had their season end, and it's a heavily emotional night for them, and that's why he tried to temper that a little bit, knowing that these guys had just been crying moments ago, and he's got to keep his composure because he's the leader of the program. If he loses it, everybody else is going to lose it.
And you know what else? You know what else? The fact that he put this on them. Right, I think that he wanted to try to minimize making them feel like we let him down in the final season. We let him down. Like
yes.
those dudes lost to North Carolina at home in his final game at Cameron Indoor Stadium with all of his former players there, with everybody watching it, the biggest spectacle in college basketball regular season in I don't even know how long. In the Final Four, playing against your biggest rival, your arch enemy, you go out there and you lose in his final game ever. They couldn't get him that national title in his final game ever. And I think, honestly, try to minimize the guilt that they feel. Like, they're 19. Like, they're not kids, but they're 19 years old. I'm sure that's going to weigh on them for a long time, right?
Yeah, here's my thing.
I was with you. Both of you guys criticized him last night. I was with you last night, and as I've thought about it more, I was like, I think he was just trying to.
What do you mean criticize him in what way?
But for the way, maybe it was just Tio.
Jeff and I did criticize.
Was it Jeff and you?
Yeah, because we just thought that he sat down and the moderator Mark Fratto, who does a very nice job, was preparing to open it up, and Mike sat down, as we saw, and he said, I'm gonna start by saying this, and he gave an opening statement. The beginning of that press conference was a little bit rugged because you can't. Yeah, I thought he ignored the elephant in the room at first, and then accepted the fact that, hey, these are the questions I'm going to get. There wasn't one question from a reporter about the game.
Mm-hmm. And
Not one.
Had to expect, I'll let you.
No, I thought, his family came in. That doesn't happen with family members coming into the press.
I said that.
It doesn't happen. His family came in. They had to have been 20 people deep as far as children and grandchildren and relatives and everything like that. I felt like it was a golden opportunity to address his family being there, to address what all he's accomplished, and to look back and be like, what a ride, or something like that. You kind of wanted something, and I kind of left with the feeling that it was more so he kind of wanted to control the narrative, and I understand that, and I understand what you're saying, Rob, as far as trying to take the guilt away from those players, but they lost, and that's part of it. They lost the game. You're going to play under a microscope like you're going to play at in front of Duke. That comes with the territory for those players. Now, that being said, I thought it was also a golden opportunity for him to be a little bit vulnerable, but at the same time, it was. I understand what you guys are saying, but I also thought it was in poor form to not even address questions that people were asking, especially with a game of that magnitude, especially given the moment, especially giving a 40-year career.
I really feel like he's been through this enough. Sometimes when you say I've had enough, he's gone out on his terms. Yep. This could be a relief.
Absolutely right.
I think this is I think some of this is a relief. It's like, man, this is over. I respect him even more because people can take credit. It's no right or wrong answer. Had he announced it late or whenever, I'm glad he did because I said this during the season. I thought he deserved his flowers for what he's meant to college basketball throughout the country. I thought he was, worthy of a fair word tour. Let's cut the crap with the kids. You go to Duke, it's national championship expectations.
Fair enough.
Yep.
Let's stop it. Like, there's no other. Let's think about it. You go. Not every program has that. It's different when you go to Duke. Duke, it is a national championship
no question.
level, and particularly this year with the players they had. We were talking about Paolo Banchero being this special type of talent and these other. What team has the NBA first round? What school has more NBA first round draft picks than Duke does? That's why they go there. So for me, with him and Coach K making this announcement and him leaving, I'm okay with that. I don't think he knows how he's supposed to feel. He's been doing this longer than any of us. I mean, than literally all of us. Any of us been alive.
Yeah.
So how do you know? Like you don't know what you're supposed to feel because he wakes up.
Any of us RC?
He's close. I've been young. I was young.
I mean, Coach K is literally,
I was a baby back then.
he's been doing it for 2 Sean Pauls worth of time.
You know, and you think about the age group. I'm probably the only one that's been alive here when he first started at Duke. And I said this last night on the show. I said, I came in college and played for this guy. And then 20 years later,
just so
my
you know,
son
just so
plays
you know,
against this guy.
The chat is calling you out for trying to say that you weren't alive when Coach K.
Daryl Williams goes, "Are you serious, Childress?"
Hey, be nice. Be nice. Be nice. This is called marriage and kids, man. That's what this is, you know? Some of you young guys don't know anything about this. Shut up. And don't tell my wife.
Matthew goes, I have to share the comment on the air.
Yeah.
Matthew goes, I can't believe RC is slurping on Coach K.
Trust me, this is hard.
For the record,
no.
T.O.'s the dome guy.
Yeah, that's fine. It's hard for me, and anybody knows it's hard for me. Like I could.
It's very hard for you.
I got a
Do you need to
chance.
see a counselor?
I could come up here and throw jabs at him, but it's not the time for that. You know, it is. I mean, the guy's the greatest, and he needs his moment, and I respect it.
Could John Shire taking over be a good thing for Duke? Meaning, look, they haven't won it all since what? 20. When was their last national championship?
The last time they've won the ACC regular season.
It's been a while.
before
2006 was the first time they won it outright. 2010 was the
Yeah,
last time they won a share of it. I will say this.
Could it be a good thing?
Some of that is the way that they schedule in the ACC, where they don't play the full round robin. So Duke is always going to play the more difficult schedule. You know who also plays the more difficult schedule, though? North Carolina. They've won a couple regular season titles since then. Virginia. They've won a couple regular season titles since then. So
Are we ready to say that North Carolina has been winning this rivalry for the past 10 years?
Well, yeah, they have been.
No.
It's over.
Yeah.
It's not
They
even
have
close.
won
Yeah,
North
the
Carolina
rivalry.
is winning this rivalry
They
for the
won
past
the
10 years.
rivalry.
Clip it.
They
Clip
won
it.
the rivalry. It
Oglesby
is
said
over.
Carolina
Sit
has
down.
won
Statue.
it. Build
Stop it.
Hubert the bust. I'm not giving him a
Should we build
statue.
a
Give him a
statue?
bust
Look,
where
it's
he can
official.
put it in Dean
Hubert
Smith's
Davis,
living
the
room.
best coach
You
in
might
North
want-
Carolina basketball history.
He's done.
Don't leave. Don't leave.
I'm not gonna sit here and listen
Build
to this craziness.
Build
And
Hubert the
I hate
statue.
them both school-wise. You North Carolina fans and Duke fans. Anyone knows me knows that, but I respect them both. It is what it is. I mean, it's just evenly played of rivalry. And we said this last night. Someone made a football analogy. This isn't Ohio State, Michigan, where Ohio State's dominated them in football, and then Michigan just won a game. I mean, this is as equally played a contest as it has been. Like, come on, a statue?
Give the man a bust.
Give him a tire. That's
Give him a
about it.
tire?
bus?
He needs something. No,
He gets a contract extension.
and we'll get to.
Oh, yeah.
We'll get to Villanova, Kansas here as soon as I make this one point. But I do want to ask you guys this: has there ever been more bragging rights in a rivalry than having Hubert Davis,
No.
first-year head coach, best coach in North Carolina basketball history, go into Cameron Indoor Stadium and win that game with everybody watching, the biggest event that we've ever seen in college basketball regular season history, then going into the Final Four and ending Coach K's career when they were the
No.
team of destiny? Like, that is the eternal bragging rights for any rivalry ever.
Yeah.
You guys know
Ever.
who
We need
This-
a North Carolina fan
you
here
know
to talk to us about
you know
this,
who
man.
this you know who this
Where's
hurts.
BJ?
This
Yo,
hurts
I
more
want
than
his
anybody else.
Who?
Shire.
I agree with you.
Well, it puts
elaborate,
more
elaborate,
pressure.
elaborate,
It puts
yeah.
more pressure
Great
on
point.
Shire because now Hubert comes in there replacing 2 top 10 all-time coaches, and in his first year, he's playing in a national championship. And then now he's been anointed the guy. Because there are multiple candidates that were up, that are in the coaching profession, that are respected, that could have been handed the mantle. And let's not kid ourselves, Coach K picked Shire. So if Hubert comes along and Hubert takes North Carolina to the Natty, win or not, Shire taking over this program next year, nobody cares.
I got a trickle-down effect.
Nobody cares.
I got a trickle-down
No
effect.
excuses.
Trickle it.
I'm going real twisty on you. John Shire will have success in year 1 at
Of
Duke.
course he will.
I could see him taking them to the Final Four. And if they don't get far in the NCAA tournament, guess who the pressure gets put on? It ain't Duke or Carolina. Guess who? Take a guess. If Hubert Davis in year one does what he's done what he's done, and John Shire does what he's done, guess who the pressure gets put on if Shire has a great year next year?
Who?
John Calipari.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Because guess what? There's a standard. You're shaking your head.
No, I don't disagree with you. I mean, it's.
Isn't there pressure on Kentucky heading into next year?
Absolutely.
No, he has a lifetime contract. So what's the pressure?
Does John Calipari have a lifetime contract?
He's got a lifetime contract.
A lifetime contract is a lifetime contract
just
until it's
signed
no
it,
longer
yeah.
a lifetime
There
contract.
you
So
go.
y'all telling me that they're gonna, if they lost in the first round, you telling me that they're gonna that there's some job insecurity?
No,
Kyle's gonna
no.
be there until
Until
they
he doesn't
could
wanna be
they
there,
could have
yeah.
the year he had a year ago, and it's just gonna be the same. The Kentucky fans are
Oh,
nuts.
I disagree with that.
They're
No,
nuts
if they have
anyway.
a bad year next year, that's 3 consecutive weak years.
That's my point. People are going to call for Kyle's job no matter what. It's Kentucky. It's their fan base. They're like Duke. They're like Carolina. They got the craziest fan base around. They're supportive. So it's
But if you
normal.
go winless in the NCAA tournament in 3 consecutive years at Kentucky, that's cause for concern.
Yeah, but here's the thing.
Concern.
Well, here's
It's a
the
fireable
thing, though.
offense.
Fireable
They-
offense.
Yeah, look, he might have lost. They might have lost in the first round of the NCAA tournament this year, but Shaheen Holloway is the greatest coach in the history of college basketball. So
Well, and that goes
2
back
Hall
to,
of Famers: Shaheen Holloway, Hubert Davis. That's the story of this event. Can we build him a statue? Can Shaheen get a statue?
In
Get him a
St. Peter's,
bust.
at St. Peter's, he deserves
Okay.
It
a
does
statue.
hurt. It does hurt our regular season a little bit. We love this sport. I'm always an advocate of you got to watch the regular season. Somebody could say, and I'm not saying this is necessarily true, but somebody could say, hey, a lot of the storylines have developed over the last 3 weeks.
Guys,
the things we're talking about.
The scariest time in college athletics is when the tournament starts and you're a Power 5 school and you play these non-Power 5 teams with these stretch fives and a small ball lineup and you have a dominant big. It's scary, particularly a dominant big that's not dominant offensively. Because now he's being attacked and placed on a perimeter to guard, to defend. It just makes it tough. So, yes, Kentucky lost, and Kentucky had a great year, and they were a national championship favorite, but pressure to win or lose? No.
All right.
His job? No, that's not it.
All right, we are going to welcome in Bruce Pearl, the Auburn head coach, in 5 minutes here. We're live from Gordon Biersch, 200 Poydras Street. If you're in New Orleans, we're with you here on the field of 68. What's going on?
We're good. We're good.
Okay.
RC.
Well, I disagree.
Yeah, here's the thing about Kentucky.
you don't
People
know-
are already starting to whisper a little bit. I had somebody within the Kentucky media, and I'm not going to disclose, he said this feels a lot like Les Miles at LSU, to where like his failure to adapt as a football coach to present times ends up costing him in the long run. So I'm just saying people are starting to talk a little bit. The man, the myth, the legend right here. We got him.
We got him. Bruce Pearl is with us, head coach of the Auburn Tigers. Bruce John Fanta.
John,
Good
War
to
Eagle
see
guys. I mean, what's up? I can't help myself.
It's great to have you.
Great to see you.
Good to see you.
Fresh off the Naismith breakfast where your man, Walker Kessler, was up there, and he told a great story winning the Defensive Player of the Year.
He did. He did. So I did call his dad at some point in the summertime. And I said, Walker's got to stop playing like he's 7'1", 260. He's got to play like the athlete that he is.
Yeah.
He's just got to play faster. And part of the mindset was like, the thing I loved about Walker was when I watched him play when he was, a sophomore. He was 6'9", but he moved like he was 6'5". Mm-hmm. He just moved like an athlete. And sometimes you got to remind big 7-foot white guys you're not big, slow, and stereotypically a center. Walker Kessler can really move. He's an athlete, and he showed that for us this year.
Best shot blocker in the country.
No question.
Unbelievable defense. Great year for you guys. Obviously you don't go as far as you want to, but the excitement level at Auburn, at traditionally a football school, nobody does it better than you, Bruce. And I'm throwing it out there. I grew up in Tennessee. I saw it firsthand, the hoopla that was in Knoxville. Hey, my man's taking his shirt off. How have you been able
I'm
to do
shocked
that?
you made it this far without you mentioning that you're from Tennessee.
I know, we're on like day 5.
I love it.
But your ability to get your guys going, capitalizing on football school, turning it into a basketball school, is second to none.
Listen, I think sometimes in life we don't know who the opponent is. and sometimes sports compete with one another, each other for attention and things like that. Man, I know who my competition is. The rest of the SEC, not Auburn football, not women's basketball, those are my teammates.
Yeah.
And I want to help them be successful, and I need their help for us to be successful. So call it self-serving if you want to, but that's how I look at it. And I think the other thing I tell people, I really believe in this, is I know we're in a profession that's very nomadic. When you're winning, they're worried you're going to leave. And when they're losing, they're packing your bags, so you will leave. So we're always coming or going. And so it's really hard for coaches to buy and sell.
Right.
But if you want to be successful, buy. If you want to be successful, you need to treat that job and that community like it's the last place you and your family are ever going to live, and jump in with both feet. And then every time I left, 2 or 3 times of my own choosing, and one time in Tennessee, which it was not of my own choosing, with tears in my eyes and my family's eyes. They had to pull us away from our friends, our synagogue, our church, my barber. You know, I mean, you get attached, right? And but it's the only way I think you can really have great success.
So let me ask you this. I've had you on shows before, and you start saying things like fixin'. You can hear that Southern accent coming out a little bit. This guy's a Southern accent expert over here. So do you have any advice for him on some words that he can use?
Just carry the vowels, baby. Just elongate those vowels, and you'll be okay. You have arguably my favorite player in the country. And it's not Jabari Smith. It's not Walker Kessler. It's my man KD Nightmare Field Johnson. And you've elaborated it on with this show before, but man, the emotional energy that guy brings. Can we talk a little bit about that? I know that's unprofessional to say that. Can we talk about it? But goodness me.
Absolutely. Listen, I think when you got somebody, obviously KD is extremely emotional. He's very, very passionate, right? He wears them on his sleeve and on his face. But he's got a great heart. Yep. All right, his heart's in the right spot. And so just taking that energy and channeling it to in more positive directions more often is what coaches and teachers, and that's what adults do. And so KD, you know, he's got a good understanding what we're trying to do, and if he could just try to be great every day, just try to have a little bit more discipline and a little bit more of the things, because I believe he could be great, not just show signs of greatness. I think he could actually be great.
Bruce, it's interesting in this NCAA tournament because we have seen some storylines develop out of nowhere. A month ago, people were saying, is Hubert Davis really the guy?
Yep.
People didn't know who Shaheen Holloway was nationally,
Right.
and now they do. You're one of the guys in this sport that always can speak on these types of things.
Sure.
What's your thought on the process of validation and that whole ideology?
Part of it is all what you've done lately. Part of it is an immense overreaction. Let's start with Hubert Davis. Hubert Davis was a great player. Hubert Davis is a great human being. Like he's like one of the best human beings on earth, right? He was a really good assistant for Roy. I don't know how great of an assistant. I think he was really, really good for Roy. So why wouldn't you have thought then that he could be a great head coach? Because he was great everything else he touched. As far as getting off to a slow start is concerned, I'll equate it to Arkansas in our league, okay?
Right.
North Carolina did not play hard early in this season. They didn't play together. They didn't play inspired. They didn't play with the same passion that their coach coached. They didn't, and as a result, they lost. And so his ability to continue to believe in them and and be able to demonstrate and convince them, look, we still have enough talent here to get to where we want to go. Oh, listen, don't. Nobody was feeling bad for Hubert Davis and their team when they were 12-6. Nobody. Yeah. They're still North Carolina. They still get the best players every year.
Right.
And they still got great players. But he hadn't been able to convince them yet what it was going to take. And he did, and he was able to. Coach Musselman did the same thing at Arkansas. Arkansas got started the SEC, I want to say like 0-3 or 1-2 or something like that. And then Muss went, guys, this is not going to get it done. And pretty quickly got them playing hard, got them playing together, and they were one of the best teams in our league.
You talk about North Carolina getting the best players. Auburn's starting to get the best players. And I'll tell you guys a story. On the AAU circuit, if Bruce Pearl shows up and there's an Atlanta kid, people just say forget it. Bruce Pearl runs Atlanta recruiting scene. I mean, think about the guys he's had recently. But we got to talk about Jabari. I mean, another Atlanta kid, terrific player. He's going to make a lot of money. Make a lot of money.
Jabari's got a different mentality. Like he's an NBA All-Star. I've never said that about any prospect I've ever had. He's an NBA All-Star, and pretty quickly in his career. He's the best jump shooting man his size in college basketball in the last 10 years. He's got a toughness to him. He's an incredible competitor. He's an unbelievable teammate. He's a great kid. He was raised the right way. He's got discipline. He does his morning workouts. He's not jealous of anybody else's success. He actually makes the other guys around him better. He can guard, 1 through 5, and at that next level, I think that's really, really important. And the deal in Atlanta is this: people don't realize. I never knew where Auburn was. I flew into Auburn when I was at Tennessee. First of all, I thought it was a private school. I had no idea it was a state school. Alabama was a state school because it was too small. It was too beautiful. It had a very private feel to it. And then it's an hour and 15 minutes to the Atlanta airport. So when it comes to Atlanta kids, and there's no traffic going west to Auburn, where if you're trying to drive around Atlanta, drive east, it's a nightmare, right?
Right.
Parents can see their kids play. So whether it would be Sharif Cooper or J.T. Thor or Chuma Okeke or Isaac Coro or Walker Kessler or now Jabari Smith, those 6 names are either in or going to be in the NBA, and we're literally 6 for 6 with those guys. But wait. What about Jared Harper, who's got the 2-way contract right now? What about Bryce Brown, who's one of the best players in the G League? What about guys like Malik Dunbar? Guys that came to Auburn, won championships. Malik's in the G League also. Back in the day, you couldn't go to places like Auburn to win championships and go to the pros. You had to go to Kentucky or Kansas or North Carolina. You had to. Now you still can, but you don't have to. You can still win championships at a place like Auburn.
All right, so I have one quick story on Jabari Smith I think you'll enjoy, just to kind of kid you. So we go down to Atlantis. We're watching this. My son is walking through the lobby with my wife, and he goes, Daddy, he's 5 years old at the time. He goes, Daddy, I got to take a picture with a really tall basketball player. And I asked my wife, I was like, really? I mean, who was it?
Yep.
Jabari Smith.
Yep.
Pop it off. My son is so excited to meet him. I don't know if we can zoom in on it, maybe here, but that's my son, all of 5 years old. I'll get closer whenever Bruce leaves and show the picture off. But it's such a cool moment. I was a little shocked, to be honest with you. I was like, Maria's my wife. This kid is big time.
Yeah, he is. He is big time. He's patient. He appreciates the support. He and I stood next to each other for the national anthem every game, and he would always look up right before the anthem or right afterwards and tell me how much he appreciates the fact that he came to Auburn. He look at all these people here to support us. We go on the road, and we're at Georgia. We got 3,000. Ole Miss, Mississippi State, South Carolina. It became the only way you could buy a ticket to see Auburn basketball play was to buy a ticket on the road, because you couldn't buy a ticket at home. Every game sold out. But Jabari would always comment about. So he looked at your son as a young fan, and I'm not saying there was any other motivation. He's just a great kid, and he's patient, and he's willing to take time for people. Success has not changed him at all.
I want to ask you about something. So one of my favorite Bruce Pearl moments was when Isaac Okoro got drafted. You did an interview, and I think it was either ESPN or NBA TV, and it's like you got zoomed in from like a 2003 iPad or something. How did that interview happen?
It was not a good look. First, I know it was not.
Look, we loved it, man. Our motto at Field 68 is figure it out, get it done.
You knew it right away, which is pretty.
Oh man, it was bad. So so here's what happens. We go to the draft party. Okay, I go to bed about 9:30. All right, period. Maybe 10. And
really?
I'm up at sunrise. Yeah, I'm not in it. Well, the draft is like forever, right? Even though Isaac goes 5th, I'm like, look, I'm not staying here. We went to the draft party. I had something the next morning. I wasn't, so we're driving back from Atlanta, where the draft party was, to Auburn. And we're like, look, when he gets drafted, we'll pull over, we'll get underneath a light, and we'll do the deal. Whatever. Yeah, so we did it from a parking lot of a truck stop. Bad lighting, bad moment. But that's who we are.
So you go to bed at 9:30. So what you're saying is, by 9 a.m., you've accomplished more by 9 a.m. than Jeff Goodman does in a day.
Maybe. I know that when Jeff and I did our Sirius XM radio show every Tuesday and Thursday from 3:30 to 6, I think he woke up about 3. Because he's such a preparer,
Right.
Yeah, that's it. Hey, I got one more question. This is my last one. I'll shut up and then throw my tongue over my shoulder. But we're looking at, they call it Krzyzewskiville. We settled on City of Pearls for you guys there at Auburn. Do we have a name for that now, or what is it?
Look, it's got to have something to do with the village, because the dorm area is kind of called the village, and so I think we're going to call it Jungleville.
I like that.
Jungleville. And you know what I thought? Because the weather's so nice at Auburn, we're going to do this. We're going to take the area outside Auburn Arena, which is a pretty nice little area, and turn it into sort of a park. And like how cool would it be to have some big screen TVs out there, some concerts, some food trucks.
Oh, good
Not
gosh.
just for Jungleville, but think about a fraternity or sorority. It's enclosed, so it's not off the beaten path. Like, let's have a sleepover. I know when I was back in college, I was 18, 19 years old, put a girl in a tent. Are you kidding me? Like, and get permission to do that? I know that was a little
It was well said.
There's the line.
We were all thinking,
We're close, but
No,
we're
but
not
I'm
there
saying,
yet.
then
We're close. We're not there
No,
yet.
listen. But rather than going out to the bars and getting hammered, let's watch a really cool movie and have movie night outside of
That's
Auburn
fine.
and have a fire pit and have some prayer vigils. I mean, it's cool. Let's do some cool stuff.
Hey,
What about
nobody
the
markets
68
better.
live shows down there? What do you think
We'll
about
come
that?
down.
I don't have any question. Why, if they're willing to freeze her off, you guys can get out there and do your radio the night before games, because every now and then it does dip down there a little bit.
We're heading to Jungleville to freeze our asses off.
There you go.
Call us,
You heard
baby.
it here first. You heard it.
Well, here's what comes off just watching you, and while we don't get down south to cover you a ton, like, you are authentic at Auburn.
Right?
And Jay Wright said this earlier this week. He's like, look, and you even just said it with Carolina. You're not going to, like, out Kentucky, or out Duke, or out Carolina. Why is Bruce Pearl at Auburn the authentic that it is in college basketball? Why is that fitting?
Well, you know what? For better or worse, this is who I am, and I do mean that for better or worse. People either like me or they don't. There's not a lot of vanilla there, and I've got a big mouth. I've got 20 opinions. I'm not afraid to express them. And we've won at places where you're not always supposed to win. Win.
Right.
So we pissed plenty of people off. Tom Davis was a great mentor of mine. And you guys are good at what you do. You had a great teacher. I had a great teacher in Tom Davis. And Tom Davis said this: when you leave me, you should play the way we played, because that's what you know. It's what I taught you. It's what you learned. Make some adjustments, make it your own, but it should be this. And he was right. He said the second thing is be yourself. Dr. Tom Davis was an amazing coach, an amazing teacher, but don't try to be somebody don't try to be me. Don't try to be somebody else. That way it is simply authentic, and you don't have to try to be a certain way. So, and look, Auburn is a very special place. I've been in a lot of great places. It's the best place that I've been for training student athletes. It is conservative. We pray before our meals. We love our God. We love our country, and we love our neighbor. And that's being taught. And some people can't handle that. Like you can't have a prayer before your meal someplace. What are they doing? We're praying, and we're thanking God for the blessing. And we'd love you to join us. And if you don't, we hope we're not upsetting you or offending you. And I can do that at Auburn.
I'm ready to buy a tent and go to Jungleville.
Hey, let's do
Bruce
it.
Pearl,
That's
thank
it.
you for taking
Let's
the
do
time
it.
with us.
Great
Congrats.
great to have you guys here
Yeah.
all week long. You guys done a great job. You guys had so many great guests. I'm honored to have been on with you, Vinny.
Yeah, man, thank you for coming.
Thanks for
Appreciate
coming,
you.
Bruce. We appreciate
Good.
you, Coach.
Absolutely.
Great jacket. That's a Sunday best, too. That's Bruce Pearl. I tell you what, Auburn basketball is special. Really is. What he's been able to do with this program, and he wins SEC Coach of the Year. Yeah, they had an early exit, but that's what we talk about with validating, folks. Let me tell you right now here on this Sunday afternoon, New Orleans has been a buzz. You've got Kansas and North Carolina for the national championship tomorrow night. There are so many layers to this game. But one thing is for certain, we're going to get a good game. And that's all you can hope for in a national title game is, are you going to get drama? Are you going to get the thrill? This is going to be a heavyweight bout with high-level guard play, all-American talent, a Hubert Davis first ride, Bill Self going for a second. America, get pumped. Get pumped. This is a big-time stage. If you're going to sit here and tell me, well, Coach K just took his last ride, he's done, get out of here. Get out of here. Tomorrow night is going to be beautiful, and Stanford Steve knows it.
Wow, that's an intro. How are you?
I am doing great.
How
are you?
I got my tea here. I want to know how you guys are doing this talking nonstop for a week straight and keeping the pipes good? You got great pipes. What's the trick?
Well, you got to have some bowels, and you got to have depth to them. And sometimes a trip through the drive-thru does pay off in the voice category.
All right.
But you're seeing the people that are here right now are willing to do a Sunday show. Jeffrey Goodman is in bed.
Yeah, where is he? Where's Jeff? Hey, does anyone know where Goodman is?
I mean, if we're gonna do this, I got a laundry list to get him going.
Will somebody pick Jeff off Bourbon Street somewhere and get him here? Tell him he has work to do.
Randolph, tell Stanford Steve. Stanford Steve's our guest. We're at Gordon Beers, 200 Poydras Street. Come see us. Randolph, tell Stanford Steve what Jeff Goodman said last night courtside at the Superdome about Hubert Davis.
Oh, my God. It's almost embarrassing for me to say for Hubert. He actually said, Hubert, that North Carolina should build a statue for Hubert Davis outside of UNC.
All right. Well, I'm on the contrast, right?
I think it's fair to say I agree with you, too. I'm like, how are you going to put him in a statue? And I said
If he needs a statue, then Mr. Guthridge needs a statue. His first year, he went to the Final Four, right?
Well, look at the guys he replaced. Like 2 of the top 10 all time.
There you go.
I don't know. I think he was just leaving Bourbon Street or just going. Trying to figure that out. I think
that's the thing. If you're here long enough, you don't know if you're going to or from.
That's what I'm saying.
I tried to do a lap, and then I found myself again at the starting line. And it's like, the place don't lie. It just doesn't lie here.
No.
Like there's no way around it. It'll hit you in the face every single time you come back around.
I've seen snakes, rats, entertainers, and everything in between. Do you have an epic Bourbon Street, New Orleans story, tale, an event you were here for?
Not for this show.
Not for this show.
No.
Most famous person you've seen? Anytime.
I'll just say I am amazed at how many college basketball coaches love to throw craps.
That's what they're doing with their life. So it's the same.
They got they are just in the middle, gen pop, right there at the tables, just throwing them.
Did you know what
it's amazing to me.
That's their livelihood. Let me get this kid. Oh, all right.
Shucks.
He said he liked us. Bring it back. Let's go get it. Is he coming? When you make a living doing it, it's the natural game.
They don't have a pole. It's amazing. They're just throwing them, man. Don't matter what time of day it is. Go over there right now. I guarantee you there's multiple there.
Oh, I know. Carter can attest to that. Carter Ellie is one of our producers over there. I don't know if he can hear me.
All right.
He was at the casino until about 7 a.m. last night.
Wow, there's no secrets on this pod.
No.
Oh, no, nothing.
No.
Wow.
Oh.
This is dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
Particularly when you're single. We get to do all that when you're single.
I'm going to have you react to, not the one I'm going to have you. This is an image that I have of a couple nights ago on the streets of
There
New
you go.
Orleans.
Watch out. Because that's the problem. When it gets later at Bourbon, you got to start looking at what's in front of you because you don't know what's going to be in front of you. I mean, obviously you got some puddles, but then, people, you talked about the bowels. Like, sometimes it comes out the front, and you got to start looking out for that.
I woke up Saturday morning, and my shoes are still wet from Friday night because I ended up in a puddle. Whoops.
Did you say it comes out that way?
This way.
Cue the Al Michaels, bud.
Yeah.
Well, that's overwhelming.
Absolutely.
All right, so
you don't want that.
Let me ask you about the environment in that building last night.
Yeah.
You've been to a lot of big sporting events. You've been doing this for a long time. Where does that rank in terms of what was crazy to me is that even when there were down moments, there was just like a buzz. There was like a din in that building where it was never actually quiet.
Well, let me go back because this is why this event is my favorite event to go to in all sports. Because of the longevity of it. Now, you factor in this place.
Yes.
That extends the longevity. You got to bring your big boy pants, okay? But like yesterday, you're walking around Saturday, you got 4, all with promise, man. Like it's right there. It's right there. 4 teams, and I think I've been to 9 or 10 Final Fours. This, without a doubt, there's not even a close second to seeing the 4 teams split. Everybody rolled deep. All 4 teams had fans deep.
Oh, yeah.
And I've never seen, you always have, not a Cinderella, but you always got that off the radar team, it felt like, in Final Fours that I've been to. But you had 4 Blue Bloods, and they were deep. And to go into the Dome and see it's like, all right, Nova's tipping off against Kansas, and you saw it. It's a 4-pie chart, man, and it was split to a T. And then normally, I'll go back I was here in 03. All right, Kansas buries Marquette, buries them. I think they beat them by 40. And the old thing in the Final Four was you go to the losing team section of the first game, and they'll cash tickets. Give me your ticket. And the Marquette people were out of there. And then the next game was Syracuse, Texas. That was the big boy game. And different shades of orange, but it was all orange that day. That night, that game, Carmelo, McNamara, the whole nine. TJ Ford, the whole thing was some shade of orange. Last night, nobody left. Nobody left. And I think that tells you the extent of the pride of these fan bases, but just the appreciation of basketball.
Yeah.
Like, Villanova was like, they realized it, they were up against it. And I think people were afraid to say what they thought was going to happen to Villanova all week because of how much they love Jay Wright, how much you're never going to count them out, what they've done. I thought they would be able to hang around because of the TV timeouts in the tournament.
Yes.
And I didn't think fatigue was going to be a factor. But on the other side, everybody knows if Kansas is going to shoot the ball like that,
Nothing you can do.
you're not beating them, man. And I always say that about the tournament. You got to avoid the game where a team makes a lot of double-digit threes. You got to be able to do that, and Villanova they couldn't do it. Couldn't do it, and that's a testament to Kansas.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you go back and look at all the struggles Kansas has had in the tournament. Just look at the perimeter shooting. I mean, it's free throw shooting, outside the box. It's what it's been their crux for. I mean, I'm 45, my whole life. That's what it's been. Kansas, they're always right there.
Yeah.
A couple times, 8 seed, but that's it. They're here and they deserve all the credit because they went out and did it. I mean, you played in college arenas, pro arenas, superdomes. Like, to be able to go out and do it, you get your shoot-arounds and everything.
Right.
But when that ball goes up, it's a totally different vibe. And be able to do that is so much credit to Kansas.
People don't realize how hard it is when you can just be a fan because you're so accustomed to basketball arenas. And I wonder how many guys, unless you're at an elite program that makes it to a Final Four, there is no player that gets into an arena and then it's a football stadium turned into a basketball court. The depth perception and what that does to you as a shooter. I mean, the first time it ever happened to me, it was like, what? I felt like I was shooting against the score clock in the arena, but it was like 80 yards away, and I'm pulling up for three. It's something to be said about that. It forces you to focus so much. If you're not accustomed to that, it's an adjustment. And to see Kansas again, a program
Right off the jump,
it was just like
4. Well,
it was like
with 4 or 4, right?
Yeah.
6 or 6 to start or something like that. It was from 3. I think his first shot he missed was his 7th shot. I did it a few times. Did it a couple
Right?
times.
All right, I was going to say, that's got to be a pretty good shooting backdrop.
Shimon Williams came on here and said he's the 40-40-40-40 guy because every time he played, he put 40 on him.
I mean, but it does. And to see him come out in the first Final Four game and to shoot that way, it was like, wow, as a team and particularly an individual. But I thought the three-point shooting started because Dave McCormick. But either way, you got to knock down shots. I don't care if they're open or not. They're difficult shots in an arena like that when you're not accustomed to the spacing of that. And it matters. It's different.
What's Stanford Steve's definition of Mike Krzyzewski?
The greatest of all time.
Thank you.
The greatest of all time. And I've been saying it for a year now since he said he was going away. I feel like you're younger. Not once has the appreciation been brought up for the game he beat UNLV. UNLV, that upset was one of the greatest upsets I've ever seen in my life. That UNLV team, go back and look at that team. You want to talk about men playing college basketball. Harry Johnson, George Ackles, Stacey Augmon.
Anderson.
I mean,
Greg Anthony.
yeah, I'm not even bringing up the guards. They would manhandle teams. And I get it. We're in the one-and-done era and now, but to see Duke, and knowing what happened the year prior when they got beat by 30 in Denver in the Final Four, and to come back and man up and be like, all right, you know what? We're going to do this. That, to me alone, and that's what, 31 years ago? Like, that was – I still get chills thinking about that. Bobby Hurley, young Bobby Hurley, Leitner, who I'm the greatest I've ever seen. But to be, that win alone, and then The next 2 nights later, go beat Kansas, and then it just escalated. And I'm watching Grant Hill walk around last night. I'm like, these young guys in the student sec, they have no idea how good Grant Hill was. No idea. No idea. And then that's why I keep bringing up Larry Johnson. That UNL men playing college basketball. That's what it was then.
They were like
And
23,
Duke
24 years old, weren't they? JUCO transfers, yeah.
And then, like I said, it's just escalated from there. And, we're in a totally different era. I get it, but people don't want to compare eras. And nobody's going to compare Kay to John Wooden. But I'll just tell you this. Go back and look at John Wooden's roads to Final Fours. There's maybe 1 win some years, 2 wins. John Wooden and UCLA was in the Final Four. Totally different era, but
You got to add some context to it, and I agree with you. And I've said this, and it's again, you guys are. I said this the other day. Me talking about Duke and Carolina so much like this is like asking me which way I want to die. Is it lethal injection or freaking electric chair? Like, my God, I'm so tired of
He's
talking
so
about
over
this.
it.
I'm just like, I'm over. The only reason why I'm going, my daughter went to KU, so I'm a pump up the Raw Chalk Jayhawk, deal with Coach Manning, Danny Manning as well. So, but no, I just don't think people really understand that as much. And the way he's done it and how much the game has changed from that time.
Yeah,
he
that's what
won
I'm saying.
during that
Yes.
time to adjust to this one and done era where there's not many that been able to do it. He didn't win, 5 titles in 8 years and dominate an era, a time. He's evolved and have won it, and that's what the truly greatest ones do. And I think that's why he is in that level by himself. You don't have to like him because, trust me, I respect him. But I despise those guys and everything that I could do to beat them and have success doing that. But there's a level of respect you have to give this man in the way he's done in his career.
I just want to know what all the people are going to do that were hating on him all this time. Like, what are they going to do with their time? There's a lot of time
Well, they're getting ready
that
for
they
the
got in their hands now.
right. I mean, they'll go hate on the Yankees, or I don't know. They'll figure out a way to. They'll go after LeBron. They're going to go after LeBron right now. That's what they're doing.
And to go back to Randolph's point, we had Chris Paul on with Van Pelt the other night after the Suns went over to Warriors, and he asked him for a pick in the Duke Carolina. He went right to the Deeks. He was just like, I got Wendell Moore. I'm old enough. I got AAU guys. I got Wendell Moore. I got Leaky Black. And he just let him. He was not going to go there. And I appreciate it, but like you said, the respect.
It's a respect.
It's a respect there. I mean, how much you guys see each other too in the off season. Like I'm watching those guys on the court last night. I'm like, I can't imagine how many pickup games these guys played against each other. And then you factor a new guy. I mean, the whole thing. It's just awesome. Awesome.
I want to say this to you because we cover college basketball throughout the year round, and I respect. First off, SportsCenter with Scott Van Pelt is the show that I watch on ESPN. It's the best. It's the best show. That being said, you guys cover college basketball during the season on your show, and it's nothing. I'm not pointing anywhere. It's just it's not a sport that gets covered as much by other shows, and so we know that you and Scott both have a passion for college hoops.
Yep.
Can you elaborate a little bit on what goes into the fact that you do cover the regular season?
Well, we're talking about eras, right? And things changing. I think for the average fan now, we see the attention span of an average sports fan now, and it's gone. With social media and how we got to limit video times because we want to get clicks because people only watch certain videos that are 30 seconds or less. It's the same thing now. They're so selfish they won't keep up with the names that are changing. So you factor in the one and done, and now you factor in the transfer portal. For the average fan, they're not going to put in the time to keep up with all that stuff. But you guys doing it on a daily basis, year round, 365, you're in it, and that's why that's why you guys have grown to this. Think about last year, what we were doing. Day of the championship game. I don't even know the name of the app. I'm sorry, I don't want to get people on it. But we did one of those calls the day of the championship game, and we're talking about Baylor and Gonzaga. We're talking about who's going to guard who. And look your guys' passion is shown through, and it's awesome. I'm really happy you guys have me here today.
I got to ask you, because I know Scott Van Pelt's a Maryland grad.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And that's home for me. I'm a D.C. guy.
I know.
And so I got to ask, how does he feel about them going to the Big Ten? I know that's come up at some point.
Oh, it's if
He's doing an ACC time. I got to ask
you're
that.
around us. I bring it up a lot. So now I've adopted the name. I call him Big Ten Scotty now.
He don't like that. He don't like that. Okay. I wouldn't
So
even.
now on top of that, we got multiple TVs every night. We're on there. We're watching them. Doing post game, whatever, Sports Center, and a lot of times this year, I've heard about how tough the Big Ten is, and then I'm, being an ACC guy, I'm like, all right, yeah, it seems like a down year, but the tournament's a tournament. And then I just kept bringing up last year with the Big Ten and how tough the Big Ten was last year, and there wasn't a lot of success. So it's not a soft subject because I bring it up a lot.
Okay.
But no,
I would love to be a part of that conversation.
He talks about Cole Fieldhouse, and I'm mad that I never got to go there and see a game. And you obviously played there.
Yeah.
But it's a different dynamic now. Talking to the local guys and just seeing how the dynamic has changed, knowing how good high school basketball is in DMV. And I was talking to one of the local guys, and it was great to see fans back at the championships this year. And he's like, yeah, I was going to do a list of most people that were at the game in the last 2 years because nobody could go to the games. He's like, Jay Wright would be at number one. Jay Wright was at more games in the DMV in the last 2 years. I mean,
he drops an anchor there. It's a car
really
ride.
does.
He could come down and watch
unreal.
a high school game and then drive and get in his car and go back home. And
Or have somebody drive the car to bring
I'm
him
pretty
back.
sure that's
Josh Hart, you name it. It's a list. He's owned that area. And for Georgetown people, that hits here.
Yeah.
But
that hits here.
it does, but there's one of the things that those programs have, and Maryland's had this a little bit too. Things around them in the game is part of the reason they're gone. The business side of things have grown so much, and they're behind in a pop in the things that matter. Like if Georgetown wants to have, they're playing at the Verizon Center, and their practice facility is great, but Maryland doesn't even have that.
No, in the works.
No, it is. But you would think for the way we think that Maryland basketball is to get to this point, and we're sitting here in 2022 saying they're going to build that.
Yeah.
That's not Big Ten, the building it now.
That just shows that, all right, as a university, there's things we need to do. If we want this program back to where we think it should be, then there's investments that we need to make. And I know they're doing it.
Yeah, no.
But
it
in
just
my
makes you
opinion,
wonder, like,
it should have been
They've
done.
been in the Big Ten a long time now.
Been
And
in
they did
enough.
it because
you went there for the money anyway, so there should have been enough money. This should have been factored into it.
Where is it? So it's a different dynamic. I am fired up for the Willard hire. I think he's going to do a great job. I think he's got a plan in place, and you know the area.
I do.
It's not hard. I mean, you can walk and find some guys, right?
You can trip
So-
up.
And Kevin will get him. Getting David Cox as an assistant was a good move.
Yeah.
Right on the hopper.
Yeah, no, it's up and coming. I mean, they have had success too in the Big Ten. Like that's the problem. Like
Oh, yeah.
their Big Ten
It was-
tournament hasn't done well, and I don't know if you got research here. That's the one thing I wanted to ask because being here today and thinking about 2 years ago when it got taken from us. Like today, I woke up and I'm thinking about Dayton in 2020. Like that was a team that had the greatest year in their history.
Yes.
Ripped. But I also think of Kansas. Like that, Kansas to
True.
me that year was the best team in the country. They played in Maui. We could have got it again.
Could have got it again. I'm a Seton Hall alum. 2020, that was Miles Powell. That
Yeah.
was
Oh, yeah.
Sandro Mamukelashvili. They were on track to be a 3 or a 4, at worst a 5. And they don't have years like that.
No.
You're not getting that type of a year. And now St. Peter's reps New Jersey and goes, what a story that was. I mean, that, and now Sheen Holloway's the coach of Seton Hall. Who's going to win tomorrow?
For the last 3 weeks, I've had 2 words in my head, and it's helped me out a lot. It's Carolina money line. I don't understand why people I don't get it. They have 4 guys out there that could score 20 at any time. They're versatile on defense.
Man, he said the money line. Man, I
The
need
guards. I mean, what else do you want Caleb Love to do?
All right, we're following you. Randolph's 1-0 in March.
I'm riding.
Right,
I'm riding.
right? You
Absolutely.
stand for Steve,
That's a
ladies
legend
and
right here,
gentlemen.
man.
Stand for Steve.
Absolutely.
All right,
Cheers. My man. Absolutely.
this is awesome.
Lights
Fantastic.
are live. Remember that. The red light is always on.
Always on.
Carolina money line, folks. We're live from Gordon Biersch, 200 Poydras Street. We're across the street from Harrah's. We are a block away from the Hilton. Come and see us. We want to talk with you. We want to talk with Give a round of applause to the all-time steals leader in Carolina basketball history, 1993 national champion George Lynch is here.
There he is.
You got the steals leader still?
Not anymore. Derek Phelps passed me up. I had him when I left.
Okay, there you go.
Right,
That's
that's
about
what
6 months.
Don't let facts get in the way of a good
Right,
story. You're the
right.
steals leader in your mind. What is your when you woke up this morning? What were you thinking?
I haven't woken up yet. I'm still sleeping. It was a long. It was a long.
never went to bed.
It was a long
What was
night.
that like last night?
You know, it was great. It was a great feeling. Start the year, no one knew where this team was going to be. I even watched practice and had thoughts about we got a lot of work to do. And then with Garcia leaving, the kid Harris being ineligible, the bench got even shorter. But the guys stuck together. Coach and staff stuck it out. Continued to work with the guys, and they figured it out. You know, to make a run like this, you have to be playing together. Everyone has to be on the same page, and everybody has to be pulling the rope in the same direction.
RC said he'd wear the Carolina hat if they
No,
win tonight.
he knows that. He knows that. We go back way too far for that. He's the probably people would get mad at him for Carolina, and people don't know George and I were high school teammates.
Yeah.
Right? We played together at Flint Hill.
Yeah.
And he was a year ahead, and he went to North Carolina. And North Carolina was in my final 5 schools. And I didn't go. Phelps was committing, and it was kind of like, all right, Derek Phelps is kind of closing in. You got to make a decision right now. So back then, we had to wait our turn. So
Right.
George was in that wait his turn mode, and he wasn't the happiest person when I called him. And I was like, well, man, I ain't going there. and I ended up going to Carolina, and things worked out for both of us. But, you know.
Yeah. All right, so Caleb Love's been up and down all year. He exploded last night. You kind of got to live with the good and the bad, right? I mean, how do you feel about Caleb Love? He's a monster when he's good. There's other times where it's like, oh, man, I don't know.
I like for him to be aggressive the whole time.
I'm with
it
you.
takes a lot
I'm
of
with
pressure off of Davis and Manic. You know, but he's come in big games and played well.
Right.
You know, didn't have, the games that he had the first couple of times against Duke that he had his freshman year. But the last 2 games, he's stepped up and played big minutes for us.
Hubert Davis, you talked about you've known Hubert for 30-some years.
We both. I mean,
Yeah.
he's in Lake Braddock. We went to Flint Hill. We're right there in Virginia, and Hubert's in Lake Braddock. You know, so he's literally across town from us.
Give
Yeah,
us a
that's-
taste of the Hubert that you know and the Hubert you've seen taking his head coaching job.
He's always been the quiet one, kind of behind the scenes. He's not. If you go in the locker room, you hear him rah rah rah, and he's kind of he's competitive, because I mean, coming out of Lake Braddock, he wasn't highly recruited. He had 4 great years at Carolina, played in the NBA, so he has that competitive drive. For any guy to make it in the NBA, they got to have some competitive fight to him.
Right.
And just like anyone else who get the opportunity to coach at their alma mater, there's a little pride there, especially when it comes to playing Duke.
Right.
It's even a little bit more. And he's been true to his word. I think the guys have bought in and relate to him. I mean, he's not one of those, where Coach Williams, kind of was stuck in his philosophy on how he wanted to coach, play with 2 bigs.
Yeah.
All the alumni was like, look, we got to change the way we play. I mean, we were still running plays when I was playing for Coach Smith.
Yeah, I know.
So the kids today, they like the ball screens and, pop and shoot, drive and kick. So you almost in space in the floor. So you almost have to just allow them to be themselves. And he's done a good job of that.
I got to ask you, because we, as an alum and somebody like you're living in Charlotte now, you're tied to the program, you've always been. Were you critical of them, or not? I wouldn't say critical. Were you surprised at the way the team was playing early in the year? Because it was a change, like you talked about. He went away from that 2 big, they're spreading you out, Brady Manic spacing, shooting threes, and it wasn't well received originally. Even though the change was, the results wasn't.
Right.
And so people are always, we were harping on it wasn't the best season in the start for this team, and obviously they've turned around. They're here, but Shaman was on, and he had some concerns, and I'm pretty sure as an alum, a lot of guys, everybody. Is it fair to say that, right?
It's very fair. I think when you if you look at the age group of alum who's graduated, who played there,
Right.
I know for myself, seeing guys jack threes, guys who shouldn't be shooting threes, jacking threes, I kind of, I'm old school.
Right.
But I relate to it now. I get it. I understand that, 3 is better than 2. I mean, so it took our guys a little while to adjust in their new roles. Like
It helps when Brady Manek's shooting 40% from 3, right?
Oh yeah,
Like,
yeah.
It helps
yeah.
you.
Yeah,
It
Brady
helps you
Manek,
ease those worries.
we wouldn't be here without him.
No doubt.
So he's been big for us. But you watch enough games, you can allow Brady Manek to catch and shoot with one leg on the ground and not even squared up to the basket. So he's been great in that aspect. Last night when Love took a couple of those shots, we were kind of like, oh man, he gonna shoot us out of it. But he got it rolling, and hey, I was like, take another one.
Yeah, right.
Once he hits a couple.
Started 0 for 5. He was scoreless through 15 minutes.
Yep.
Didn't stop. And we're live on YouTube, Twitter. So on our YouTube chat, by the way, we have some people. This is a great one. Sean says, George Lynch and Derek Phelps trapped Weber in that corner in the Superdome
Oh, man.
in 1993. The Heels were prepared. Weber was not. The Heels did the right things. Weber also walked up the floor before that.
Yeah, New Orleans been good to us. 82, 93, hopefully 22.
You like Nola.
Yeah, I remember when we came here and played against Kansas and Michigan, they were saying that this was Dean's second home, the Dean Dome. So we're hoping that that's true for all the Carolina fans.
We got one here. Sean says, ask George Lynch if he still remembers the back screen in the 93 title game for the dunk. Plus, did he see Weber's ghost walking last night?
No, I didn't see the ghost on Bourbon Street, but my eyes probably wasn't open too wide either. But yeah, that every time you see the Final Four, it always brings good memories when you've had opportunity to play them.
Where's your ring?
Oh, I didn't bring it, man. It was in the closet.
You didn't bring your ring?
No, I didn't bring it.
Hey, what's your best North Carolina? You probably ask this all the time. Best North Carolina memory from your time playing?
From man, there's so many. The battles with Randolph and Rodney Rogers, the Florida State comeback game, then making the run through my senior year, making the run through March Madness, and you wouldn't think that Duke still has so many. We played so many times against Duke. They won the year that I was at Carolina. They won back-to-back.
91, 92.
And it just makes it tough when you play against them. Like last night, I did an interview on the ACC network, and they were trying to get us to give, some good quotes and locker room bulletin board material. And you just have to, because you have so much respect for Duke, you have to keep quiet, because any little thing will give them an edge, and you didn't want to do that. So I'm sure guys on their side didn't want to say nothing, and guys on our side didn't want to say anything.
But now it's over, so you can say it.
It's over,
You
man.
can say it now.
It's over.
Just get it out.
It was.
Get it out there, man. Just put it out there,
It's
man.
a great feeling, man. We got bragging rights for another year.
I can't tell you how many times this week that this guy has said, I cannot talk about Duke and Carolina anymore. You know where his heart is.
Yeah.
But this is one of my guys. I mean, it's funny because we talk about the rivalry, and again, it goes beyond that because there's so many ties for us going back to Grant's right there.
Yep.
It's so many of us that were tied to that area in that time that it's just special. So the friendships went through that competitiveness, and we kept those even in the NBA and beyond.
Right.
So it's been big.
How bad on a scale of 1 to 10 is Randolph's little brother syndrome having played at Wake Forest?
Hey, my record. I got a winning record, so it's never that. It's never a record.
All I can see is his crossover and this right here. So he has bragging rights. He won his last game like we won our last game against Duke and Coach K. So
What do you feel
I
like
played at Clemson. It doesn't, I'm not even allowed to talk at this point.
You're allowed to talk.
I mean, I'll talk. Nobody will listen.
Well, okay.
There you go.
What do you think is the key tomorrow night for the Tar Heels to beat Kansas?
we got to stay out of foul trouble. It got a little close with Baycott fouling out.
Yeah.
Lucky it was 2 to 3 minutes left, and we were able to hold on. But I think we keep him out of foul trouble, keep him on the floor. We can get Leaky to defend like
He'll
he
do
did.
that. He'll do
he'll
that.
defend. He was trying to, it's funny, to start the season, he was worried about shooting the ball, making threes, and I pulled him to the side first practice. I said, look, I made my living playing defense.
Right.
I said, if
Man,
you,
what better person to
Oh,
talk to
yes.
than George
That's
Lynch?
I was gonna
a
say.
great line, George.
So, and I told him, I said, if Coach Davis trusts you defensively, he got to keep you on the floor. There's no
Right.
one else on this team can guard 1 through 4.
I think
And-
that's the biggest thing that I envy about you guys and a lot of programs is your ability to go back and be willing to say, hey, man, I made a living doing that. Like, this is impactful. When you go to a kid and then they may not know, and then all of a sudden they leave, and George Lynch comes up to him and says, hey, I won a national championship. I'm a 12, 13-year NBA vet, and I came in here and I focused on rebounding and defense, and people notice.
Yep.
And for you, coming from you, and then he finds out he's making shots now.
Right.
He's focusing on defense and doing all those other things,
Yep.
and then now he's making shots.
I had the opportunity to play for Coach Larry Brown and coach with him, and he always said, don't go into games thinking about scoring. Just do the other little things, and the ball will find you.
Yep.
And
You would have got you an NBA ring with him if it wasn't for Kobe and Shaq, right?
yeah, man, I had the opportunity to win it. Playing the NBA Finals, broke my foot in the semis against Toronto. Wasn't able to come back, but it was those little nuggets that if you can share with these young guys,
Right.
They don't get so caught up into, I want to be a first-round pick. Just enjoy the ride, enjoy the journey, and good things will happen.
We have one question here from Rob Douster.
Hey, George, listen, this is my show, so if I want to come in here and ask my question, I'm going to ask it. I live in Philly. When you drive up 76, there's that City Ave exit, and right there's that TGI Fridays there, right? Have you ever been to that Fridays?
I've been in that Fridays a lot. Yeah.
Do you have any good stories from that Fridays that you can share with us?
I don't know. It might be some kids listening. That was AI's hangout spot.
Is it that where you spent $30,000 at the TGI Fridays?
I'm sure he spent a lot of time at TGI.
That's a lot of potato skins.
I want to paint a picture for what this Fridays is like. It's not like a restaurant. You walk in and there's like club music going.
Yep.
They got like a dance floor in the Fridays.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Have you ever seen another Fridays like that?
Club
Hey,
music at a Friday.
That's the only Fridays in City Ave, Philadelphia that I know that's playing hip hop.
We got mozzarella sticks and ass.
Oh, yeah, all that.
Tater tots have a whole new meaning.
That's why Goodman won the cheesecake.
It's got a whole new meaning at tater tots.
All right, George Lynch, thanks for joining us.
Hey, man.
Great, George Lynch.
We got to get George out here more. Appreciate you, brother.
Oh, we're having fun. We are having fun here.
How long you guys here?
We'll be here till
All day we're here. We're here all day. Gordon Biersch, 200 Poydras Street. Visit us. We're right across the street from Harrah's. We're a block away from the Hilton. I'm down. The other night at Harrah's did not treat me well. But I'm planning on bouncing back today. I am. I'm planning on bouncing back. I'm going to hit the Harrah's. Going to win some money. We're going to make things happen. I'm going back to Harrah's.
Oh, yeah, we
today.
gotta make a
We
comeback.
have to make a comeback.
We got to make a comeback.
We're going out tonight, right?
I think after the show.
Are we going out tonight? It's the last night.
We got a spot for dinner. We're going over to the Dragos right over there. The Char Grill Oysters. That's where we're heading.
This is
You
news
guys in?
to me.
You guys in?
Oh.
Char Grill Oysters.
A staff dinner has been organized here by Mr. Douster.
Well, it's only for people that actually made it to the show. So you can go.
Jeffrey?
You three can come. Sean Paul can go.
How close are you?
Where's Goodman?
Yeah.
Maddie, come sit down.
Where
What
is
you doing,
Goodman?
man?
Let's
Why
get
you
three-man
all
weave
the
in
way
here.
Come sit down.
Weave. Wait,
Yeah.
hold on.
Wait.
Did you ever get dinner last night? Did you ever order something?
No, I never got. I haven't eaten it. The only thing that I've eaten since the pregame meal at the Superdome yesterday has been those 2 donuts I had for breakfast. I am so
Pizza Hut?
hungry. Oh, that's right. We had that was the
Thoughts on media food battle? I thought it was pretty strong. All things considered.
the braised beef.
The braised was kind of
The
good,
braised
yeah.
beef, like with
Thought-
the mashed potatoes was really good.
Good.
It hit. Hey, look.
I didn't
T.O.
have
T.O.
it.
Not buying
T.O.
it. T.O.
T.O.
buying
It
it.
took care. T.O. It took care of what I needed in the moment, sir. It took care of what I
I
needed
didn't
in the
have
moment.
it. I didn't have it.
I needed
cleaned
it.
it. I
It took care of.
You did?
Yeah, of
I didn't
course.
get. Here, how tired? My defining image of last night. How tired was Goodman?
He's so soft, man. Can we talk about this? He's so soft.
Look into the
He's so,
camera.
you are so soft, Jeff. Do you know how horrible I felt yesterday? Did you hear one complaint out of my mouth? I woke up that morning, I said, I don't know how I'm going to make it through the day. And I made it through the day. I survived. And I was ready to go. I brought the heat. I brought the juice last night on the show. Jeff Goodman talked like this. I'm so tired. I need a nap. Can I have a pillow to sleep on the floor of the media area?
And Jeff obviously opens up the first post Coach K presser with a banger question. So,
Yeah, and he gets shot down. That's
you know,
what you get.
I think he thinks he accomplished something yesterday, but like asking one question, which was a pretty cookie cutter question. Let's just be honest about it. Like he
He
can't.
said, Mike, what was your. First off, you won't call him Coach K. Where do you fall on that?
I don't know. Do we have to be that formal? I guess he is the king to some, to others, more of a villain.
Who's the we've got winning tomorrow?
Yeah, we got Best Bets coming
Teaser.
up live at
Teaser.
2:15
Good.
today.
What time are they on?
Matty Cox from the three-man weave.
On here?
Kai, I don't. How do you say his last name? McKeon.
He thinks it's McKeown. I think it's McKeon. I think he's been pronouncing his last name wrong for 32
Well,
years.
you also don't know how to pronounce anyone's name.
No, right. So it
You
could be a me
pronounce-
issue. Could be a me issue.
What's Javon's last name?
Javon Quinerly,
See,
Paulo
there you go.
Banchero,
What's his
among
last
others. Terrence Oglesby.
Oglesby.
I'll take a U.
And Jim
Bunta.
Root, Jim Root over there, who's
Jimmy-
got the
Jimmy
three-man
Fox.
weave gear on. I still don't have a three-man weave shirt. I'm a little offended.
Our apparel
offended.
arm is
It's
booming.
because you
It
told
is
me
booming
you
right
can't
now.
take an
It
XL.
is.
You only want a large.
Hey, let
If
me
you
say,
wanted an XL, I would give you one.
Go ahead.
hey, let me say this about three-man weave. They were in phenomenal shape at media game. At the media game, these
See-
guys ran and back cut. It was unbelievable. These guys.
CJ Moore has it right. It's like, well, all we do is look at spreads and bets. We got all kinds of time to keep ourselves in shape. I think that's what we chalk it up to. So.
They were talking smack about us, saying we didn't hit any shots.
Yeah, well, we do talk. I'm worried about Kai's ankle, though. There's 2 bowling balls attached to the upper and lower part of his ankles.
Swollen?
It was kind of a 3-man weave joint effort to get him here, but he's a warrior, and I expect him to perform on the shows he always has.
All I'm going to say is this. Armando Bacot sprained his ankle much worse than you did, came back into the national title game, and helped North Carolina, into the Final Four and helped North Carolina get to the national title game. And you're over here complaining about having to walk down the street to do a Best Bets show? Are you kidding me? What are we doing here? You're cut. You're cut. Sean Paul.
Flu
Sean
game.
Paul is a
Flu
new
game.
third man, a 3-man weave.
Yeah, he's.
Sean Paul's
did
a new third
Did
man.
you see Bacot walking down from that dais last night? He about fell over, I swear to like just the most pain. I mean, he was like one leg howling. I took multiple notes.
Yeah, it looked
Kansas,
really
Kansas,
bad.
Kansas,
when it happened.
Kansas.
We have a question from the back.
fired up
Why
this
is
morning.
Rob
Everyone's
beefing
been-
with
Well,
everybody?
I went after
Every-
him last night.
Everyone's been taking shots at me all week.
True.
Yeah, it's
I
true.
got to defend myself. What am I
Now,
supposed to do?
one would argue that they're very warranted.
But did I get it together?
we
Did
watched-
I rush it?
It was one of the most impressive efforts under the circumstances I've ever seen. Honestly, it was.
Flu game.
Build a
I
statue.
performed.
You
I
are
dropped-
going to get. You
I
are
dropped
gonna get
38.
into, You're going to get into Goodman's phone and delete some things.
There's nothing to
Likely.
delete. There's nothing there. I didn't do anything.
A good PR sweep's probably in order.
Build the
All right,
statue.
right.
Build
All
the
right.
statue. Build the statue.
All right, let's talk some basketball here. Got to get your thoughts on this. Thad Matta is back.
Ooh.
The Butler Bulldogs have hired the 54-year-old, which it spoke to all of us. I didn't realize he was still only
didn't know he
54
was-
years
That was
of,
their yep, so
of
like-
age, and he is. So he comes back to Butler. He spent time in the 90s as an assistant. He was the head coach of the program 2001. He goes to Xavier. He spends 13 years at Ohio State. He's been out of it for 5 years. What's your reaction to Thad Matta at Butler?
Oh man! All right. So, on the one hand, if he's actually motivated, right? If he actually
Yeah,
wants
that's the
to
question.
get back in the mix, if he's actually like, look, you know what? I got the itch, man. I sat out for 5 years. I'm ready to coach again. Then he's terrific. They went through a stretch in the Big Ten when he was there, where Ohio State was the best program in the Big Ten, the best basketball program.
Yeah,
we got two Big Ten guys back here. Is that fair? Fair to say?
Yeah, year in year out.
Ohio State for about a 5-year stretch was the best program in the Big Ten under Thad. Correct? Yeah, and that's the point. And then he ended up
Is he still
stepping
tired?
back.
Is he still tired?
Yeah, is he still tired?
Has he been sleeping sleepers? That's the question. Has he been sleeping sleeping?
Yeah, so that's the one part of it, right? Whether or not we believe that he's going to be able to come back and be the guy that he was before. The other part of it is I don't love Goodman ripped Barry Collier pretty good the other day. So I don't think I really need to add on to that because I agree with most of what he said.
Oh, yeah.
My question is, like, if it's really like, oh, Butler family and the Butler way, is Thad really throwing his guy Laval under the bus like that? Like, did he really, you know what I mean? Like, that's the other part of it. It's just kind of like, is that really the way that this is going to go?
Well, I don't know about throwing under the bus. Here's a couple things I know. Thad Matta has been around Butler in recent years. He comes to practice. He sits in the stands. He's been watching this program as much as he had the administrative role at Indiana.
Right.
You could tell he was itching. Exactly. You could tell he's been itching to get back into coaching. Yeah. But you can't just make your return to coaching at any job. If he was going to return to coaching, this is a natural place because he knows the people there. He's comfortable there, and they know him. Now, let's assume that the health issues are, in fact, in the rearview mirror. If they are, in fact, in the rearview mirror, and you look at what Thad Matta had done in his career, when we talk about Elite Eights, Final Fours, he's been on the biggest of stages, and he's gone into different states in the Midwest and poached talent.
That's where
back to whether it was Ohio State or before that at his other stops. Thad Matta has proven he can recruit. He's proven he can win at a high level. The health issues were so bad that it forced him to get out of coaching. Could they pop up again? Sure, it's a human life. It happens. But if we are to assume that Thad Matta's health issues are in the rearview mirror, there is no reason to believe that Butler made a mistake today. The Butler Bulldogs got it right with this hire.
The staff is the big question, right? Who's coming with them? But I'll just talk from an Indiana alumni perspective. This is a nightmare, right? I mean, Thad Matta has owned the Indianapolis, Indiana recruiting hotbed, which has been like the number one focus of, Indiana, but like Big Ten fans in general. That's just another heavy hitter in that pod. So I think Big Ten fans ought to be on alert. I tell you this is a Big East context type of conversation, but that's the sweet spot of where you're finding the big time talent. Yep. And you look at the guys he pulled out of there.
Yeah. Conley,
Odin. Indiana, that was an absolute factory for George Hill.
Think about this. The Big East has 8 out of their 11 coaches who have been to the second weekend of the NCAA tournament and beyond. You could not say that last year. You couldn't say it a couple years ago. The narrative has been Villanova owns the league. The Big East is a good league. Villanova, when at their best, can make it can put it at the big boy table with the other big boy leagues. I think that what we're seeing is a pattern of administrations at these departments saying, look, if we're going to catch Villanova, we've got to hope that we can get that lightning that we've seen from a Shaka Smart or that we've seen from a Sean Miller or that we've seen from a Thad Matta. This is a theme now in this league of these programs getting guys that had their moments. Are we certain they'll win again? There's different circumstances. I think that they will. But I find it interesting in the Big East, the hires that have been made. Sean Miller back at Xavier. Thad Matta back at Butler. And then Shaheen Holloway at Seton Hall, which is interesting. So the Big East.
A lot of people coming home, yeah.
Yeah, the Big East coaching fraternity.
Back to the roots.
Back to the roots. It's kind of an old school way, whereas the SEC went all these young guys. Or all these guys that maybe aren't as proven at the power conference level. Interesting to see it in the Big East.
I'm much more intrigued by Sean Miller at Xavier than I am about Thad Matta at Butler. Dagan's raising his hand back there, but we're not calling on him.
I actually have a great question for this group. Go ahead. Yeah.
I think I would give Xavier an A, like whatever the highest grade you want, an A plus. Something or other. I would give Seton Hall I don't think you could have made it better. Like, how are you going to?
It's an A.
Yeah, it's an A. Like, I don't. It's very hard to tell what these will be 5 years from now because not everyone is going to succeed. But I don't think you could have made a better hire if you were Seton Hall. With Butler, I mean, it's more like in like that
B
kind of
minus.
B range.
Yeah,
like
B minus.
he
He just hasn't been there. He hasn't been in the game.
He didn't leave because he was losing. He left because he didn't really want to do it anymore. Right? He left because it's the health.
Yeah.
Right? Health was part of it. He didn't want to deal with the grind of recruiting, and he just didn't want to do it anymore. It wasn't like Mark Turgeon quitting in the middle of a season, but he didn't want to deal with it anymore. So the question is he reinvigorated? Is he going to be able to do it? The bigger question for me is, though, this is a completely different era when it comes to having to recruit.
That's
not
exactly
only are you going to have to get on the road, not only are you going to have to go out and
Yes.
chase high school kids, but you got to maintain those relationships so when you get up in that portal, you can go get guys.
Yeah.
And different for Butler, too.
He's never dealt with
Different
that.
for
He's
Butler.
never dealt with the portal.
So you know how you get a 79 on the test and it's a C, and then if you could get some extra credit, you could turn
Yep.
it into a B. I think his staff is that extra credit. Like
Yep.
obviously that's going to be a huge part. The only thing is, to go along with what you're saying, Rob, it's been such a long time since he's recruited and been on the road. 5 years, I know that doesn't sound like a long time,
Yeah.
but in today's age, with all the change that's occurring within the last amount of time, 5 years, I think it could be hard. It's a big adjustment. Now, not saying he can't do it because he's obviously a home run hitter when he was coaching, when it comes to recruiting, but I would give that C+, B- area for that hire. The other two, A's.
Yeah, this is an interesting thought that I've been thinking about this week. Let's take Villanova out of the Big East.
Okay.
In the next, I'll say 6 years, you get to pick one program that you're backing to make a Final Four. Who you picking?
Say UConn, Rob. I know you want to. I know you want to say UConn. I'm not going UConn.
Who are you going with?
I think I'm going Xavier.
I was going to go Xavier.
I'm
too.
going Xavier.
Sean Miller, I got a lot of faith in that. I got
Sean
a lot of faith in
Miller
that hire.
has never been to a Final Four.
Sean Miller. And
I'm going Xavier.
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 Okay, so I think that Xavier would be a good consensus answer. But I'm going to be a contrarian, right?
That's usually my role, but go ahead. You can take it for this one.
Oh, gosh. Here we go. Hold on.
I am buying this. Wait, what are you doing?
I didn't know you had Cleveland Browns line.
Oh, yeah! It's a Sunday. Here we go, Brownies. Here we go. Hoo, hoo. Here we go, Brownies. Here we go. Hoo, hoo. All right. I'm going bold right now. Dagan Hughes, get off your chair and stand in front of the camera. I don't think this was a fluke. Get in front of the camera. Because you're wearing the shirt. Wow. Folks, I am buying this here. I don't think that an Elite Eight run at St. Peter's was a one-off. I think Shaheen Holloway and Seton Hall could make a Final Four during his tenure at some point in time. I think he could get players. I think he can win in the Big East. They already have won at the Big East. And I think that they could have what we saw from Seton Hall in 2019-20 with a transcendent program player with a great guard. I think that they could make that kind of run in the NCAA tournament, that it could happen. I'm betting on Shaheen Holloway at Seton Hall. I am.
I'm drinking actually, I'm sipping the Kool-Aid. I'm not quite drinking it.
With me.
Here's my concern.
2 straws, same cup.
Need some Kool-Aid here on the table, on the dais.
Slurp on some South Orange juice with me.
Johnny, I need you to explain. I got 2 precedents that are part concerning, part encouraging, depending on how you spin it. Andy Enfield, John Gross, right? 2 guys who landed big-time jobs out of largely a magical March run. Just in that lens, it does concern me buying all the way into Mr. Holloway. However, I think the way you saw St. Peter's play down the stretch, and I think just some of the eyebrow-raising X and O stuff that was like catching the attention of all of the big-time NBA dudes, that to me kind of sold me. But this can go a John Gross direction, or this can go an Andy Enfield direction. And Andy Enfield, by the way, didn't look so great until recently. It didn't. But now I think that's kind of the tide has changed there. We're not worried about that? Like this is rooted mainly in one half here?
I'm not. But I think
Where are you on this?
I think Shaheen is very different from Andy Enfield in the fact that he is very much an X's and O's
Yes,
kind of nerd.
I think so
almost,
too.
Right? Like they
Key
run
differentiator.
such
Yep.
good stuff. When you watch him play, he's so good at isolating
Yep.
a mismatch that he wants to be able to attack. He's so good at finding a way to run a counter to this or run a counter to that or put something on film and being able to get a guy
Yeah.
an open. Like he's really, really good with that. I think that he is very much a guy, Fandy, you can speak to this, someone that is going to build a family kind of environment at Seton
Hell
Hall.
yeah.
Yeah.
Already has one.
yeah, right.
I'll tell you why he's not
So
Andy
I
Enfield.
buy all that, but here's my thing.
Yeah.
Seton Hall is Seton Hall. Right?
Oh,
Like,
wow.
Seton
Well,
Hall
what
is
does that
Seton
mean,
Hall.
Dolster? What does
So-
that
What
mean?
does that mean?
It's I need
Insert
to see
Sopranos
them.
music.
I need to see them have that level of. Go ahead, do what you got to do. I need to see them have that level of success before I can sit here and say, okay, I'm buying them to get to a Final Four before Sean Miller and Xavier get
I
to
agree.
a Final
Well,
Four.
Well, I'm
Yeah.
being different. I was different
So, like,
last night. That went okay.
I'm not trying to knock the hire. I'm just.
No.
I'm kind of.
You can both say that you like the hire, but that Seton Hall is Seton Hall, and until they prove that they can make a deep
Yeah,
tournament
that's-
run,
that's
you're
the right
skeptical.
I need to see
That's
what
the right
I need
take.
to see what they're.
Here's
I
the
think
deal,
that he's
though.
going to get the most that you can get out of Seton Hall. I think
Yeah.
that Shaheen Holloway is going to be able
but-
to do that. I think
Yeah.
Kevin Willard is a terrific coach. It took him 6 years to get to the tournament
Wow.
from Seton Hall, and they won one game in his tenure there.
Sure,
Yeah.
in
sure.
11 years, one game.
Yeah, and Shaheen Holloway just won 3 at St. Peter's.
Okay, so how much of a better career is Shaheen Holloway going to have than Kevin Willard?
Well, one would argue he's already had a better one.
It's lightning in a bottle. You
Yeah,
can't- that's
I mean-
one run.
Yeah.
Yeah,
one
but,
run.
but wait a minute.
It's one run.
No. Kevin's had a longer, longevity's key in this industry.
Huge.
Key.
My point with my initial premise there was I think there's too many hires made based on a 3-game sample. That's my concern.
Nothing. Oh.
Well, here's the thing. Here's one thing here. Here's why Shaheen Holloway is not Andy Enfield or John Gross. Shaheen Holloway didn't play that long ago.
Can I just provide everyone with an update?
What?
I just got a text from Shaman Williams that says, I'm on the way, I'm coming in hot, and hot was all exclamation points. So when he gets here,
God.
we're going to get Shaman right here, we're going to get Randolph Childress right here. We're jumping out. We got to let these ACC guys discuss it, Fanta. We got to let them.
All right. So with Shaheen, he's young, he's black. He can go and get any player in the metropolitan area, I believe, with the right pitch. He's from Queens. He is true to himself. He does not give a damn what anybody thinks about him. He was told he couldn't do X's and O's.
Who said that?
And frankly, he was told he couldn't do X's and O's because he was young and he was black. And he'll tell you that.
We
I'm not
talked
kidding
about
you.
that the other night, RC. We talked about that the other night.
It's not
my
right.
My favorite part about that run from Shaman Williams is that no one stood there and said he's a recruiter, right? No one said he's going to get players. When he made that run, what did everybody say?
Man, that dude can
That
coach.
motherfucker is
Yeah.
coaching.
Yep.
That dude
Yep.
can coach.
Yep.
Shaheen Holloway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, he
I'm
absolutely
tired.
coached.
I'm tired of hearing stuff, and he got told that, and I know he did because he said it to me, and it's said to me several times. And Ed Cooley has spoken out about this at length.
Because he's
Here,
breaking
jump in,
down-
jump in, jump in,
it-
jump in.
It's about breaking down, a stereotype.
It
Right.
is.
Let's just call it what it is. It's just breaking down a stereotype, and that's prevalent in staffs and perception. Is still we're unafraid to talk about it.
That's
but
kind of a
but
weird
there's lot-
stereotype. If you look at the Naismith Coach
dumb
of the
stereotype.
Year, Ed Cooley
Right, yeah, it
is
is
a
weird.
wizard. Like,
No, we
Shaheen
know that,
Holloway-
but
And who he coached
we're
for?
paying
Al
we're paying
Skinner.
attention to that. But
Yeah,
that's
and
part
Al
of the
Skinner was a
things
wizard,
that
yeah.
gives you an opportunity, though, is that it's you get labeled as that, and so many coaches have been labeled as that, and we talked about it. You were spot on with that, talking about the stuff that when we were blown away watching early, not just the Kentucky upset, like winning throughout was just like, man, he's running good stuff.
Yeah.
His timing and what he's doing, I mean, he's crushing it. But
And to hit, I guess he brought in the quality of players he brought in there. I think labeled him unfairly as that, because he brought in good players, but then I think people disrespected what he can do with the clipboard, and that was on full display in March. I mean, just
at that level, you don't even have the resources to do a lot. So we're talking about at the high major level, you get to have a guy and designate so much responsibility and designate things and still be worried about your kids. And for him to do it at that level without those resources just shows you how
St.
really
Peter's.
good
I mean, right, Seton Hall, but what he did at St. Peter's I think if he can do that at St. Peter's, you're right. He can definitely break the barrier that Seton Hall's program has been sort of limited by, I think, historically. Because I'm with you, though. Like, look back at Willard's tenure. Like, was it really all that bad? I mean, I think it was a pretty successful tenure, right?
It wasn't bad.
It was a good tenure, right?
It was really successful. Think about what he was able to do.
Bad job, isn't it? A tough job. Exactly.
Think about how hard it is, though, to recruit kids to Newark, to recruit kids to the Seton
Jersey
Hall
City,
program.
right? Yeah,
it's
tough.
There's a lot of things that you're up against when you are at Seton Hall.
Yeah.
And I think that Shaheen Holloway is as good as anyone is going to be able to get the most out of that job.
Yeah.
I just don't know what the most out of Seton Hall is, and that's all I'm saying. Like maybe their ceiling is a team that can get to a couple Sweet 16s. Right?
I think the biggest thing about that job is you got a local guy to understand what it means
I think
to
it's
be at
huge,
Seton Hall.
huge.
He's able to go and identify with a kid to say, hey, you're at Seton Hall, you're a Jersey. Just like he just said in the tournament. I think the best line of the tournament was, I got a bunch of guys from New York and from New Jersey.
Yeah, yep.
You're not going out tough. That's what we do. And I think that personality, that group is going to be, because everyone forgets. The reality is there's just a lot of the New York kids that just leave and go to high school and boarding schools all over the country.
Right.
It's hard to keep talent in there.
It's hard to keep talent in New York. But if they do that, there's a lot of ballers. I mean, you're talking about R.J. Davis.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about a lot of different
AJ
guys.
Griffin.
AJ Griffin. We're talking about guys that are playing in other programs that you get one or two of those guys to stay home.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, competition in that area is tough too. I mean, Rick Pitino, and that's a white whale just down the road, and he's going to get dudes to stay there as well. So yeah, I think that's a big thing too. Back to the whole Thad Matta at Butler, right? Like just looking at the recruiting competitive nature within that hotbed of talent, it's going to be tough.
Do you have any takes on Thad Matta going back to Butler?
Do you know he's only 54?
I do. I know he's had.
Thad
reasons why.
Matta
was
is
like
5
70.
years older than you, RC. Thad Matta is 5 years older than you. All right.
Here, just sit.
Creighton.
Yes.
Creighton.
God.
Creighton has to be a team that next year
Well, I
you
mean,
would consider to be good, but
They're a top 25 team, no, absolutely.
We'll see how they handle that.
Before we say all that, I want to see who is going to be coming back.
exactly.
Because
I think that's what everybody.
Trey Alexander and Ryan Nembhard are both guys that I think are going to end up playing in the NBA. I think that if they can hit their ceiling, they could end up being first-round picks. And I've made this point before. Tyrell Terry, right? The year that he went pro, did he end up being a first-round pick? I think he was the last pick
Right
of the first
around
round, right?
fringe, yeah. Last
late
first
first.
round or first second.
So the question that I have is, do they come back to school and say, look, we're going to try to play our way into being a lottery pick? Or will some NBA team say, look, I will take you in the first round this year. I promise you we'll get you with the 28th pick or whatever it ends up being, but you got to declare this year. So you can get that lottery talent a year early, get them into your development system. That's something that I think could happen. We saw it happen with Tyrell Terry.
Kids are leaving school now for G League deals, for promissory notes about what's going to happen, to your point. So there's a lot of ways to handle coming to the Final Four, but if I'm not playing in it, you better be really secure about your kids and make sure. I mean, there's nothing you can do about it, but you need to make sure that you are dialed in, because it's scary to hear your kid say he's putting his name in and keeping his eligibility, because more times than not, that means I'm not coming back. That's what that means.
Here's the other thing, though. NIL. That's huge. Because a lot of these kids are leaving. Look, you have when you are a basketball player, right? You have a certain window where you can make money off of that career.
Yes.
Until 10 years.
Yeah.
If you are one of the best professional basketball players, you're looking at 10 years, 12 years,
Right.
pretty much. So if are you gonna give up one of those years to make money, to be able to maximize the income that you have coming in?
Right.
And whether or not you're playing in the G League or overseas or whatever, 6 figures is a lot of money. Even if you're making $150K a year, you get a 2-way deal and you get called up for 5 days, make $150,000. That is a lot of money. But if you can come back to school and you can put together NIL stuff that'll get you to 60, 70, enough that you could have a little change in your pocket, enough that you could pay for a nice car, enough that you could get your mom whatever you want to get. There's ways that you can make it so that it doesn't become a decision about money. And I think that's the biggest thing.
My first 6-figure job was when I got drafted. Can you know how much money 50,000 would have been if I was in college or 20? Like seriously, think about how much money that is for us even in school. We're not even talking about large amount. If I'm in school with no bills and I get 20, 30, 40, $50,000, that's a lot of money. That's a lot of video games.
Would
Apple
you still
Watches
have
too.
that? Would you still have that $50,000 if
Oh,
they
hell
handed
no.
you?
No.
If they gave you $50,000.
You know what I said honestly about that? When this was years ago when they were talking about this, because you were never sure about how it was going to work. I thought it was because there was concern that it was going to come out of the universities and the NCAA and things of that nature, that's where the money was going to come from. So I was a proponent of suggesting, hey, I knew that the issue that was going to crush it was because everybody was saying it was going to be men's basketball and football, and I was like, no, wait, Title IX, that's not happening. So that would lower the number because it would have to be spread out throughout the department.
Yeah, right.
So I thought whatever that number was, let's just say, for the sake of conversation, let's say it's 5,000. I thought it would have been great for every year that an athlete played that they would get that money. And it would be just to teach them what they would do with it. Just say, hey, when you leave, if you play 4 years, when you leave, here's 20,000. You would at least have a better understanding of what to do with it than to give you $5,000 a year because all you're doing is playing video games, buying tennis shoes, and whatever else you're going to blow them on. At least when you get out in the real world upon graduation, you'll have somewhat of an idea what the hell to do with 20,000 as opposed to if I'm giving you 20,000
As an 18-year-old, right, yeah.
As an 18-year-old, and you know.
To add to that, what I will say is this. Creighton is one of those programs like Memphis, like Wichita, like a Murray State, where
Local
in that
community.
in
Yeah.
Omaha, Creighton matters more than anything else.
Right.
Right? They put 18,000 people in an NBA-sized arena for every home game that they play. Every home game that they play, they sell
Kids
out.
are rock stars there.
They're rock stars there. So while I don't think that there's as much money floating around with NIL stuff as like everybody thinks. Like not all of these
No,
kids
there's
are
not.
getting like
There's
$1
not.
million.
And it's over. It's
But
overestimated.
Creighton is one place where you could probably drum up a pretty good amount of money for all of these big guys because if you get that top four back, Nemhard, Trey Alexander, Ryan Kalkbrenner, and who was the other guy? I'm blanking. Whoever the other guy was. That core right there is legitimately good enough to Kaluma is legitimately good enough to be a preseason top 10 team.
Yes.
That team is legitimately good enough to say, okay, you know what? Villanova's in a down year. UConn doesn't have a point guard. Seton Hall's just getting going.
Right.
Sean Miller's just getting going at Xavier. That's the year that Creighton could go out and win the Big East. They can win the Big East tournament. And if everything comes together, you had the right four-man, you had a couple shooters off the bench, whatever it is, who knows? Creighton could be in Houston next year.
It's a heck of a sales pitch to the portal. Mm-hmm. You start identifying needs you may need. You know, you're looking forward to adding your team. I mean, right now what do we got? I think we're at 1,100 kids right now in climbing, maybe more.
8 million.
But Rob, your point is, or I think how I'm understanding your point. The NIL generally, the advantages you have are proportionate to the cachet of your program, right? But there are exceptions like Creighton, like Wichita. I mean, Arkansas, I think, is in that boat too, where you actually have some local advantages. If you're the biggest game in town, you're like the de facto pro game in town. Some big boosters. I mean, even UTEP to go really off the beaten path. Like that's kind of they're like the biggest game in that area. Those schools may have a slight lift, 3 to 5 years down the road, recruiting the money they pump in. And that's my cue. That's my cue. Go to the pen.
Jump in here. Come on, jump in here. Right here. Right here. Oh, he didn't show up. He's ducking the smoke. He's ducking the smoke. Hey, sit down. Come on, sit down.
Another champion. Another champion, Melvin Scott.
Just missed your boy. We just missed your boy. G. Lynch was on.
Okay.
This is about all I can take with this Carolina stuff, man.
He ain't gonna talk as much as I'm gonna
listen,
talk about this.
I'm about as tired. I'm sick of this.
Come on,
But
now.
I respect it. I respect it.
There you go.
I respect it.
appreciate
I'm gonna give
that.
you,
I
Mom.
appreciate- Thank you.
You know I'm gonna give it to you.
You got
I'm gonna
the
give you,
OG,
Mom.
the
I'm gonna give it
legend.
to
You know what I mean? One of the legends. He lucky he's a legend, and I love him because I let him get away with a lot. 'Cause he earned it. But he earned it. He earned it. I got to bow my head.
Hey, man.
Corey hit me this morning. I bow my head to the greats. They're the greats. That's what these kids
Well,
don't understand.
But little brother he gonna look out.
That's
for
what
me,
these
man.
kids don't understand. You
It's
got
a respect, though. It has
You
to
better.
be.
You
And
better.
it's funny because it doesn't matter where we were.
Oh, no question.
Because you and I were bumping heads 7,000 miles
No
away,
question,
and it was
no
always
question.
respect.
I'ma give him respect.
he always-
Hey,
I give him
Caleb Love, he get to legend status after last night?
I'm gonna tell you what he does get. He gets. I'm still like in shock and awe because it works, and it's different.
Right.
It's
Has there
different.
ever been a guy? Let's be clear. Let's say this because you're like doing that. It's definitely not y'all time. Y'all better come. Y'all better set that back screen back in your day and then pop out and shoot.
Right.
I don't know, and this is a credit to Hubert. I don't know if there's ever been a guard that has worn that Chapel Hill uniform that got the green light like this young man right here.
You couldn't have said it any better.
There has not been a guy
What you think?
that has ever worn that Chapel Hill uniform that can take. Now he is a bad shot maker, and I've said it. I don't know if you agree to that. He takes difficult shots and he makes them. But I'm talking about the shots that he takes. Boy, if you had taken that shot,
Go get him.
you'd have heard this. Somebody talk to him.
Hey, new era Carolina basketball. If you want to get your man off, come on to Chapel Hill, baby. Recruiting pitch right there,
That's
baby.
it.
You know what I mean?
If we have faith in you, you're going to play 40 minutes. As long as you crack that rotation, you're going to play 40 minutes. 35 at least.
I mean, hey, let me tell you something. We can talk till we blue in the face about what we like, what we don't like. Hubert Davis is playing for the national championship tomorrow night.
If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yeah.
If it ain't broke,
what we
that's
talking about?
Yeah.
Hey, you got to take the good with the bad. What bad? I don't know no bad.
No.
You know some
You
bad
knew
at
some
the
bad a
beginning.
couple months ago.
I knew some bad. I knew some bad. I thought last night. Hey man, what I'm talking about? Hugh, do your thing, baby.
Yeah,
Let the man. Hey, you know, Hugh did that last night. Then my man took that thing. Hugh hit him with that. I said, there you go, Hugh.
Hey, Shimon,
coach your
I
team.
I need you to help us out with something. Melvin, I need you to weigh in on this too. Jeff Goodman last night
Oh, my
said
God.
that they need to build a statue for Hubert Davis for two
told him to
reasons.
slow down.
One, you ended Coach K's time playing in Cameron Indoor Stadium. You won that game. Then you go out and you end Coach K's career. There's been never, in the history of rivalries, there's never been more bragging rights than North Carolina has right now. So Goodman said build him a statue.
I'm going to let
What
you
do
say
think?
it first, then I'm going to
Statue or
back him
no?
up.
Statue?
I've
I
been waiting
think
on this.
bring the material out. You know, the jackhammers.
Stop.
Here's what I'm gonna say.
Stop.
He's done something. I mean, it's history. Can't deny history, right?
Yeah.
Facts are facts.
Yeah.
Hey,
Hey,
Facts are facts. I'm gonna
hey,
say.
I have.
I'm,
We started this off with
almost
respect,
okay.
and I got some. And I'm gonna say, because y'all gonna make me a little bit of, I'm gonna drop my respect level if y'all gonna sit here. You know
I love you.
You know I'm cheering for him.
You know I
but
love
I'm
you.
also saying
I love you.
the standard is the standard at Carolina. Like the
Listen,
standard
man.
is the standard. There's not. He's following up Dean
Listen,
and Roy, man, two of the top 10 that got
New
multiple
shoes. Hey, man,
natties.
Yes.
I
yes.
mean,
He gotta
Don't
finish
make-
this thing,
Not
man.
just, I
Yes,
said not a
he does.
statue, but build that man a bust.
how
I
the
need a
game-
bronze.
You
Hubert
get a
Davis.
tire, bro.
I ain't-
Stop it.
I ain't even really worried about how the game go tomorrow night. To be
It's a hell of a
honest,
first start.
I
haven't seen anything
Yeah,
like
I
it.
ain't.
Have
You know how the game
First
go
year?
tomorrow night. So just how it go.
First year.
Oh, my
I'm
God.
okay with that.
No,
I'm okay with
no,
how
you
the
gotta
game
finish.
go.
You
But
gotta
I'm gonna
finish.
tell you what. I'm
He
gonna tell
said
you
we've
what.
never seen anything like it. We have seen it.
Yes,
last
we have.
guy to do it. Help me out. Guthridge did it. Guthridge did it after Dean was gone.
Thank you.
the
Well, that was
exact
my
same thing.
team.
See the
Yeah,
recency
that was
bias.
his
But I'm gonna tell you, it was different though. The way Hubert did it and the way that we did it.
Yeah, he let
We
your
would-
guards
we-
jacket. You had to run a system. That's the difference.
That's a big difference. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, get this man a head job also, and he most definitely is telling the guys on the truth. But I'm gonna say this. Really, and I got the utmost respect for Coach K. I do. There's no question about that. Now, the man is a legend, and the man did some things to help old Shamon Williams' career. So I have the utmost respect. But I'm gonna say this. You really can't talk about the Carolina Duke rivalry no more. The way that this thing ended.
He ended that thing. Tell him, Shimon. Tell him
what-
he did.
my
He
God.
is one of them.
What are we gonna
forever.
talk about now?
Hey,
What-
he's one
the
of
way
them
that
forever.
Hubert closed this thing out, really,
Yeah.
you can't.
It continues. It doesn't matter who the coach
tell you what,
is.
I
This
tell you
rivalry.
what,
This ain't Ohio
this is
State and
what you do.
Michigan.
This what you do. This what you do.
So the rivalry
This
ended
what
when
you
Dean
do.
Smith retired?
This is what you
But
do.
it's
You
different.
go outside
Man, y'all
right
not
now.
gonna let this blast
Go
me.
out.
Y'all got
Go
me
outside.
defending Duke.
Listen,
If y'all
listen.
lost your mind, what is going on?
Go
Somebody
outside.
give me a drink. If
Go
I gotta
outside
defend
right
Duke,
now and
buy
find
me a drink.
somebody
I'm
with
in
a
too
Duke shirt
sober.
on. Go outside and find somebody with a Duke shirt on and see if they will attempt to say anything.
Somebody give me a drink. If I'm defending Duke basketball,
What they gonna
I am not. I am
What can
sober.
you say?
This is
What-
ridiculous.
What can you say?
50-50.
You can't. There ain't no 50-50.
It is a 50-50.
This is just equal
When
to
Coach-
rivalry.
No,
I'm not doing it.
no,
Somebody
no,
else
no,
may
no,
get up and
this-
defend it.
this-
I am not going to be the guy
Listen, right,
defending freaking Duke.
You could talk about the next era to come, but this era is bad.
This era just started, what, this year?
Well, yeah, our era.
Oh, my
One era started.
So I'm gonna give you that. If
So
you're-
you put
you're
that
saying-
last effort, that last era
the
in
way
the
that
coffin.
this thing finished.
Grand opening, grand
guess what?
closing.
You got what you asked for.
Let's give you that.
He got what he asked
Ben
for.
Carroll
He
asked
did.
for it.
He
So it
asked
didn't matter.
He asked for
We
it.
want them. This what America wanted to see. This is what the NCAA wanted to see. Everybody. This is what the world wanted to see.
And they got it.
I agree
And,
to
and
that.
like Jay-Z say,
Grand
grand
opening.
grand
closing.
closing.
Say no more.
No. This isn't. No. Listen, I agree to that. If y'all telling me a new rivalry started this year, but y'all know you've been a part of it forever.
Man, look.
That rivalry
listen,
goes back, predates
listen,
you,
man,
through your time,
you
through mine,
absolutely
and,
right.
and it's going to continue.
But you know how the rivalry started? It started with two impactful individuals in their own rights that built a program. They built the institution. Let's just say the institution. They built the institutions.
You know what?
And so,
I believe that and I got to give you credit for this because I was a part of the documentary and I thought it was amazing. And I didn't say this last time you was on air. I thought your part of the documentary was the best of it. To see your raw emotion of it, I was blown away. And none of us knew how it was going to be.
Yeah.
But I understood, and I was glad that you got your flowers and doing that because people don't, when you think about the negative of going to a program like Carolina Duke, if you don't go on because of MJ and the success that they have as pros, they don't respect what you've done. But I was happy to see you got your flowers doing that tournament and it was justified. But having said that, it showed me that there were coaches that predated Coach K and Duke was pretty damn good, just like there was coaches that predated Dean Smith. And
but
Carolina's pretty good.
You're going to have coaches that do a pretty good job, but it's not so much about the job; it's the impact. I'm gonna give.
I agree to that. I agree to that.
I'm gonna give you a sample.
I agree to that.
When we were all in school, we all knew Coach Smith was on top of basketball. Right? He was the man, basketball wise. Anything basketball, collegiately, and in the NBA. Coach Smith was on top for so many years. The man only won 2 national championships. So was it really about winning national championships?
Or the impact.
Or was your impact? Or the players that you got that was more impactful? So
that's where it's changed.
A lot of people don't
that's where it's
understand,
changed though.
But not it's changed, but not in my mind of what it takes to have success.
Well,
success isn't so much predicated on how many national championships you win. It's the impact that you have on the game and an environment and the type of players that you have. I mean, the players are the least, but the impact that you have on the game. So how does an individual that only wins 2 national championships in his whole period of time have such an impact? You understand what I'm saying?
Listen, because you have the players and the people that came through during that time, the most iconic players to ever touch a basketball, it's coming through that time. Yeah. And for, there wasn't as many options as it is at that point in time as well.
Oh. Well, you probably know better than me. I was just trying to get a scholarship anywhere, so you probably know. I'm going to digress on that one.
I just think that before we say that, I think there's a lot, you didn't have as many options to do things. It's like growing up. It's like growing up in the D.C. area. Right? I grew up there, and it was Len Bias.
Oh, yeah.
It was just like Len Bias is just like, man. So I probably would have been a Maryland Terp had it not been for the Wade incident and them going on probation. So when Gary Williams gets hired, the sanctions come out. They pulled me out of class, and he called me and said, hey, I think you got a chance at making it, and I think it's best that you don't come to Maryland.
Right.
But had he not, I mean, the history of Maryland is probably a little different because that whole class of Charlie Harris and other guys, Mike Smith and Dickie Simpkins and us were all like, man, let's take this all Met thing and let's get Grant and let's push this over and let Johnny Rose and let's slide over to Maryland and let's just keep this thing going.
You're right.
That would have been
But
crazy.
I think that would have been. I
crazy.
think you guys would have had an impact for a certain amount of time.
Oh, no question.
No
Everybody
question.
has it.
You know what I'm saying?
Everybody has it for some.
That's what I'm saying. Coach Smith, Coach K, they were able to sustain that for decades. You know what I
No
mean?
question.
So when you talk
And
about
you're losing that.
Yeah, when you talk, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
So give that man who lost last night his respect. Y'all stop this
that's the
recency
first thing I
bias.
said.
Absolutely.
I said the-
Absolute
I got
respect.
the- I got the utmost
Absolute
respect.
respect.
Okay, I
But
do.
so the rivalry is real. You just got bragging
the-
rights right now.
I don't know if you call this bragging rights, man. When you,
I mean,
when
yeah.
you close it out like that on the legend,
That last game at Cameron.
So what happens next year when
this is
Shia is there?
Carolina Duke.
I ain't arguing with this man.
This
I
is
got
Carolina Duke, man. This game here, like, even if you didn't want to come to the game as a Carolina alum, you got to beat like you. This here is for the marbles.
But it matters tomorrow. You got to close it up tomorrow. Am I right?
And I mean, we're gonna take it how it
Well,
goes.
I
Now,
tell you
want
what,
to.
we won in Cameron the other day. No matter how everything else turned out, that was a championship. And the impact, and we all stayed and watched Coach K. We kept TV on.
Yeah.
We watched the whole ceremony.
We did. Respect.
That alone. And
So
then
y'all
to get
telling
this
me
result,
now-
Oh my God.
So y'all telling me now that the national championship does not matter tomorrow?
It does
Y'all
matter.
okay?
It does
to
matter.
win.
Now, I get it, Tobacco Road.
I
As
want
an
to
ACC,
win.
as an ACC guy,
Make no
I get
mistakes.
it.
I want to win. I want to. But I'm gonna tell you this. You know, sometimes with the national championship, it's the best team that's rolling that night. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you ain't getting it. Sometimes when you win, you really ain't the best team.
In this tournament,
That's true,
we
right?
all know
Yeah.
you got to be good,
Yeah.
you got to be lucky,
Yeah,
you got to be healthy.
yeah.
You got to have all
Big
three.
time.
So
Yeah.
which one were you
But I'ma
guys last
tell-
night?
I'm gonna tell you what though.
We were Carolina
I don't
last night.
have to
We've
worry
done it all
about
tournament.
nobody.
Caleb Love, everybody. There we go. I recorded it. I'm like, watch this, y'all. He's taking this shot.
Yeah.
I've seen it all tournament.
Hey.
I was in Philly.
Hey man, the man.
It's gonna happen again.
The man is man. He got more than you.
He's a bad man.
Hey, more than you. Because
He's-
I'm telling you, to do that,
In bunches too. He's
to
doing it
do
in
it,
bunches.
to say, you know what? Because to be great, you got to be willing to
I-
fail.
You have to have that gene.
I
He's
said
got
that
that
about
gene.
him, and I
gotta
said
be
that
one of the
earlier in the show when I was talking to Rob and T.O. about it. I said that's what comes from your teammates and coaches know you can take difficult shots because they know in the moments that you're going to step up and make them, and they're comfortable saying we're going to hand you this ball
Yeah.
and we're going to live and die with you taking this shot. That gives a confidence that just people just don't understand
Exactly.
unless
Yep.
you're in the moment. And I respect that. I
I'm
respect
gonna tell
that.
you, I had a lot of the moments when I was in college. I've been blessed. I probably got the most points in overtimes history in Carolina history. So I've been that guy. But I'm gonna tell you what, if I had taken a step back three,
Oh,
Lord have mercy, I know what time it was gonna be.
you would have won.
look, look, look,
You
look.
would have sat. You would have went down there with the managers. You would have.
Listen
It wasn't gonna be no city.
Just go ahead and
It'd
go to the
have
locker room.
been-
Just go to the
Man,
locker
go
room.
on back.
Look, we were in Philly. He took a step back one, hit the side of the backboard. He look at me like this. We get off his rebound. He like, again. He look at me. I'm like, and he nailed it.
This is
And he
Carolina
nailed it against
basketball,
UCLA.
baby.
That has been the big. If people want to say the difference in between Hubert Davis taking over now
Hey.
and what Dean Smith and Roy and
Yeah.
their system is,
Come
it
on.
is
If-
the talent's coming in, but it's like, hey man, we're gonna let you rock out because no one in the history. That's
better-
the one thing he can say.
Yeah.
No one in the history of that
You better get the
uniform
scholarships before they gone.
Yes, sir.
is had the green light and take shots the way
Hey,
this young
and
man
I'm gonna
is
tell you
taking
what, I
shots.
commend him. I commend him because you know what? If you don't evolve, now everybody don't have to evolve the same way. You just got to know who you are.
I don't know.
You got to know who your team is. So evolution is great. So I'm not upset because, like I said before, within this stuff, I'm learning stuff myself.
I can't
You
believe
can learn
I'm
what to
sitting
do,
here
what not to do.
defending
Yeah, but I'm gonna tell you this: Hubert Davis is doing what he is supposed to do for his team to be successful.
Facts.
If he know, I gotta allow, like Coach Smith. Coach Smith just tell me, Shimon, I'll give you one turnover. You can turn the ball over. You can do whatever you can throw it into the fourth row, because you know he want me playing free. You get that one turnover. So maybe you would say, hey, Caleb, you know what? I'm going to give you your 1-2 step backs.
Yeah.
But whatever it's going to take to get you to perform the way I need you to perform for this team to be successful, that's coaching.
That's adapting.
That's coaching and that's adapting. He will not be a dinosaur. Hubert Davis will not be a dinosaur. If you want to get your man off now, you better get the Chapel Hill.
I want to jump in on that real quick because the thing that impressed me so much about what Hubert did last night, I made this point earlier, is that he found something that worked. Go to that ball screen, get Mark Williams in that ball screen, spread the floor, and do
I
it.
knew what you meant when
If
you
it's
did
not
that.
broke, if it's not broke, don't fix it.
Everybody got a way of saying,
Listen,
again, keep it going.
I learned this. Basketball players and coaches make the game hard. It's a simple game.
Simple.
If that's working, let's do it
Do
until they
it.
stop us. Why would we do something else? Why?
As a guard, I also say he's done it with everybody, but it's traditionally been I'm not surprised with the Armando Bacot success because big men in that system has thrived.
Hey, by the way, Hubert Davis just had his press conference, and he said Armando was a little bit sore, but they got the X-rays, MRI, everything is good to go.
He was
He's
playing if that thing
There's
was
no
broke.
question.
I wasn't worried about
There's
that.
no question.
Yeah, we good.
Thank you.
I've been
Sean
impressed.
said I wouldn't worry about
I've
that at
been
all.
impressed with R.J. Davis. I think he's been so steady.
I'll tell you
I
what.
think he's been the guy for me that I've been impressed the most with watching his growth. And when I watched him during the year, I'm like, yo, this kid is emerging as the guy that concerns me the most. Because when y'all won, well, I'm freak. I got me defending.
Come on with it. Come on with it, man.
When you all won,
Thank
I'm
you.
being
We'll
objective.
take-
When you guys won in Cameron,
Yes.
I thought he was the best player on the floor. And in the first half last night, he still was the best player.
So
on the floor.
those patches in between the game when we have droughts,
He makes the play.
I don't think he missed a mid-range shot or teardrop or floater, and he carries us, and then it's like, okay, love time or
Armando or
or
Brady.
Yeah, he doesn't get a lot of credit. Davis, man,
Brady Maddox.
yeah,
Shimon,
that man.
listen, Dagan's saying we got to wrap, all right? But here's what I'm going to do. RC, take a step away.
Yeah.
I'm going to step away.
I can't.
Floor is yours. Close us out. Take us home.
Take us home. Take us home.
Take us home, baby.
Make your UNC Tar Heels proud, man.
We want to thank you for watching the Field of 68 Media Network tonight. We want to first and foremost thank you for supporting us and watching us. Second of all, Melvin Scott and I, we would like to thank you for supporting the North Carolina Tar Heels. It's going to be a great game Monday night, but more importantly, we closed out that series with that other team 6 miles away from us.
Yes, sir.
And for all you recruits that want to play at a high-level program and you want to be able to show your abilities and your capabilities and learn and wear that Carolina blue, make sure you call Hubert Davis immediately. Because it ain't that many scholarships left. And you see how we play, it gets you to the next level. Thank you for watching us. God bless.